Am I audible, dear students? Can you give some responses in my chat box? Okay, thank you. So, good evening, everyone. Welcome back once again to the Maha Marathon of Agricultural Economics. So, as you all know, we will be covering the major topics of different major sections. I guess like we have completed the microeconomics, macroeconomics, as well as agricultural finance. So, today we will be seeing one of the another major important topic, that is nothing but agricultural marketing. So, the plan goes like this: we will be completing all the basic conceptual understandings today, and for the queries that you have, you can keep it in the chat box. Occasionally I'll be checking and we will be just monitoring it. And I guess after this maybe 2 hours or 3 hours of class, you will be having a clear cut understanding of how actually the entire chapters of the major section of agricultural marketing would be going on. So we shall directly proceed into the class. So as you all know, I'm your agricultural economics mentor from AgriEdict. My name is Ajay Antosoy, and currently I am pursuing my PhD in ICAR IRI New Delhi. So, coming to the basics, so to just give you a basic idea of what is market, as you already would be knowing, market, the terminology market is actually derived from a Latin word which is named as marcatus. So, marcatus, the Latin word, is actually meaning something like to merchandise or to trade. So, wherever some trade is happening, that is referred to as market, as in the basic idea. So, to become a little more advanced, I would be reminding you a little more basic concepts that you would have studied in your microeconomics. So in microeconomics, we have studied two major important concepts. First one was demand and second one was supply, right? So what was the point of studying demand as well as the supply? Demand was something from the consumer's perspective, right? So in our entire economy, there is actually a government as your watchdog of the people's welfare. So government will be looking all of you, right? So therefore, there are uh, two major entities. The first one is producers and the second one is consumers. Producers will be producing the items that we are consuming, and the consumers, we will be buying from them, right? So that is the basic idea, right? So we studied the basic ideas of demand as well as the supply in the major section of microeconomics, just because we wanted to understand how actually the demand and supply pattern is changing. For example, if I am taking the demand and supply for paddy, we know that the law of demand, it is actually showing the inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded, right? So therefore we have a demand curve for this will be your demand curve, right? So therefore there is an inverse relationship between the price of the commodity and the quantity which is actually demanded by the consumers. So the demand part or the consumers part is finished. So what about the production? Production side will be given by the supply, right? So therefore supply is nothing but how much amount or quantity is actually made available to the entire population, right? So therefore the supply is nothing but as the price increases, the quantity supplied increase, you will be having an increasingly sloping line. So therefore this is your demand curve, this is your supply curve. The downward sloping is demand curve and the upward sloping is nothing but the supply curve. So we have studied this demand and supply as separate concepts in the case of microeconomics. Why we have studied it? We have the application here in the agricultural marketing. It's just because as producers, see, there is a big group of producers, there is a big group of consumers. What happens if the producers have not produced paddy? The consumers requires paddy, right? The consumers requires rice to uh, for their primary consumption of the food item, right? What if the total consumption of the rice is totally stopped in the in the economy? That is actually the problem, right? So therefore there should be adequate production in the entire economy and there should be adequate consumption. What if they are producing much higher, the production is much higher, but nobody wants to consume rice? What will be happening, right? So this is the basic idea. So demand as well as supply, why we are studying demand as well as supply? We need to understand what is the interaction between demand as well as the supply, what actually the producer is producing and how much part of it is reaching to the consumers according to their demand. That is where we are arriving at some optimal production, optimal price and optimal quantity, right? So therefore this is actually your optimal quantity of production and this is actually your optimal price. This is nothing but your market price, right? So therefore the interaction of demand, the consumer side demand as well as the producer side supply will be giving you your market price of that particular commodity, also the quantity which has to be produced in the economy, which is profit maximizing to the producers as well as beneficial to the consumers or their need satisfying to the consumer, right? So this is the basic idea and what for we have studied. So where actually this market forces, that's why like we are terming demand as well as the supply as market forces or free market forces right now, okay? Because here we are not considering the government. We have some producers, we have some consumers, we have demand, we have supply. So demand and supply is actually driving the entire economy to how much to produce and how much to consume. And where actually this is happening, this interaction between the demand as well as the supply is happening in the market. That's why agricultural marketing or the marketing is becoming a major area of interest. So this is the basic view where you have to study like what is the importance of market, and rest of the things will be coming back, right? So a market can be defined as in terms of the existence of fundamental forces of supply and demand, and it is not necessarily confined to a particular geographical location. So in order to explain this major point only, I have explained the basic ideas, right? We already know that like if I am going to the fish market, if I am going to the vegetable market, I will be getting that thing. That is actually confined to a geographical location. We will be studying many type of markets in the classification, but ultimately we wanted to know what actually happens in the market. It is nothing but the convergence of the demand as well as the supply in the market. I guess you are getting my point. Give me a moment. Shashank, Shashank. Comment section. Okay, so you would be already knowing the basic definitions of the agricultural, like there are different definitions for the agricultural marketing. Uh, the one of the major important definition is nothing but none other than Philip Kotler's definition of agricultural marketing. He defined marketing as the human activity which is directed satisfying needs and wants through the exchange process, right? This is nothing but we have studied in the previous slide. Demand is there, supply is there, production side is there, consumption side is there. So therefore the entire activity that we are involved in order to satisfy our human wants through the exchange process, right? This demand and supply is actually meeting through the exchange process, right? So therefore that's how the Philip Kotler has defined agricultural marketing, and there are he have improved this marketing definition in 1991. He defined market as a social and managerial activity by which individuals and groups obtain what they want and need through creating, offering, and exchanging products of value with the others. I think you may have to go to the previous year question papers to understand how actually they have asked these definitions. Like simply they'll be matching the key concept with the one who have propounded, or maybe directly they would be asking like, okay, who the definition would be given and who have given. Mostly they will be asking your definition of Philip Kotler, and there is another improved version, none other than given by Acharya and Agarwal. They defined as agricultural marketing as a study of all the activities, agencies and policies involved in the procurement of farm inputs by the farmers, as well as movement of the agricultural products from the farms to the ultimate consumer. So if you are checking from the evolution of the definitions from the Philip Kotler to Acharya and Agarwal, what actually happens? The subject matter of agricultural marketing is getting improved, right? So initially, whenever, even if when we are thinking about agricultural marketing, we will be thinking like, okay, we are going to the market, we are buying some products. So it's almost from the consumer's perspective. Then it was actually a little more evolved to the producer's perspective. Like, okay, what if actually in order to get to that position, in order to make available these things to the ultimate market, what actually the producers also require, because they also require the entire production process has to be completed in order to facilitate the marketing, right? So therefore the marketing process is not only considered from the point of view of consumers, but also from the point of view of producers. So therefore consumers requires whatever things that they are requiring as end products that will be available from the market. Producers, for them, they requires inputs like maybe seeds, there can be fertilizers, there can be pesticides, there can be irrigation, electricity, or whatever it is, which is actually required for their entire production process until the point of selling, or until they are harvesting their product and making it available to the final market. So that things are also, or all the processes, activities, agencies, everything which is involved in order to make the production process completed and uh, make these products from their farm gate to the consumer's plate will be considered as a subject matter of agricultural economics. That is the evolution of this definitions of agricultural marketing. So who are all the participants of agricultural marketing system? It's very easy, right? We already know two major players. One is producers, who's actually from the primary sector. Second one is consumers, who's actually buying and consuming it, right? So these things we already know. Then there are many other people who are known as market middlemen or traders. Then there are some agro processors, then there are some agri exporters, also there is government also, right? So why actually we what is, see, whenever you're seeing a slide, you should be understanding like why we have to study this slide. Always the agricultural marketing system would be efficiently working until and unless all the key players in the agricultural marketing system is getting equal benefits, or they are getting what they require, right? So producers, obviously, they when they are producing, they should be getting their profit, right? Consumers, their needs has to be satisfied, right? I am from South India, okay, and we have uh, rice as our major staple food, okay. When I am moving to North India, maybe to Punjab or Haryana, their staple food is actually maybe wheat or maybe rotis, right? This is actually our cultural differences, or maybe our food habit differences, right? So even if the rice is produced there more, what actually people are consuming or selling more will be wheat items or maybe roti items. I may not be able to insist like I need rice items, right? So therefore, even if production is there for the proper consumption, whether the thing is actually there or not, that is another issue. That's where actually this market middlemen, agro processors, agri exporters, all these people will be. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So for equalizing all these things, or to in order to improve the agricultural marketing system, we have another functionaries like market middlemen or traders who will be involved in many of the other marketing functions. Maybe see where actually the market function starts. See, it's nothing but from the farm gate, right? It is from the farm gate. So you have completed your agricultural production and it is ready to sell from the farm gate, right? So from the farm gate, there are many other functions which is actually carried out until it is reaching the consumer's plate. Consumer's plate, right? So therefore it has to reach all these things, all the final outputs from the agricultural production system has to reach the consumer's plate. So any activity or any agency which is coming in between, you can call them as middlemen, right? So whenever the terminology middlemen comes to our mind, we will be thinking like, okay, they are some exploiters. No, not at all. Without the middleman, we can't make sure the agricultural marketing process is completed. We can't ensure that the product is actually reaching the consumer's plate. So therefore, from the farm gate, we need some assembling, right? Some assembling function is there, right? From the assembling function, it has to be transported to some other places. Then it has to be maybe stored. Storage function should be there, right? Then there will be some kind of processings, right? So therefore the processes will be there. Maybe the farmer's plate or the consumer's plate will be maybe abroad, maybe in some other countries. So therefore some export or import, that part also will be there, right? So therefore infinite number of functions are coming in between, and all these things are carried out by different middlemen who are known as market middlemen or traders. Then there are some processes, as we have already noted, because like much of the agricultural produce we cannot directly consume it, we may have to process it, right? You would have studied the form utility, and most of the classes I would have given the example of coffee, right? As such, coffee beans cannot be consumed, we have to process it to the coffee powder, and then only we can consume it, right? So therefore processing is required. So agro processors are there, agri exporters are there in order to match the demand and supply beyond the borders, right? Then there is finally government also. What is the requirement of government? Why? Because we have studied the demand as well as the supply are free market forces, right? So when the free market forces are operating in the market, maybe the mismatches between the demand as well as the supply will be resulting in the price fluctuations. What is actually happening or happened a few months back, maybe a few weeks back, during the energy crisis happened. We already know the LPG prices were shooting up, right? So why? Because the supply was very much limited, the demand was very much higher. So therefore the mismatch between the demand and supply increased the prices of the LPG like anything, right? So therefore the government should be there as a watchdog. Otherwise the low class people or marginalized people or even the normal people are getting suffered. So therefore in order to match the demand and supply, somebody should be there as a watchdog of the people's welfare or interest. So therefore government is also there as a part of participant in the agricultural marketing system. So these are some of the basic concepts. Is it clear? Is my pace is okay? Is everyone is understanding the things, whether I should make any changes or arrangements? Okay, fine. Yes. So coming to the subject matter of economics. So in the subject matter of economics, as we have already seen the evolution of the different definitions of agricultural economics. So we have two major parts in the agricultural marketing. First one is product marketing. Second one is input marketing. Both are very simple concepts, right? What is product marketing? Suppose there is a farmer. He is actually investing his land, labor, capital, and his managerial ability. He'll be producing a product, maybe rice, wheat, sugarcane, or whatever it is. Okay, so he is actually a farmer entrepreneur. So he have a final product. That product has to be reached to the people who are requiring it. That is nothing but the product marketing. So how he is actually doing it to the required people. That is nothing but the product marketing. Coming to input marketing. What is input marketing? In order to happen all these things, the first the agricultural production has to happen, right? For the agricultural production has to happen, he may be requiring different capital equipments, he may be requiring some different variable capital, fixed capital, all these things, right? Maybe it can be land will be there, maybe if the farmer is landless, he will be renting it out, right? So therefore that is a resource. Land is there, then seeds should be there, fertilizers should be there, pesticides should be there, labor should be there, right? All these things are different inputs. So that inputs he will be purchasing it from the outside market, right? So therefore there is a product market. Second one is there is input market. Obviously he will be purchasing the fertilizers or pesticides or maybe the hiring the labors from the outside markets. So those markets which is actually producing the inputs or raw materials to the production side, which is consisting of the input market, and that process is known as input marketing. So these product marketing and input marketing are the two major subject matter of agricultural marketing. So see, we can study marketing as separate, that is fine. So why we are studying agricultural marketing as a separate field? That is our question. It is basically based on the different what we call for it characteristic features of our agricultural production. If somebody asks you what are the characteristic features of agricultural production, if somebody asks you what are the challenges that you are facing in agricultural production, if somebody asks you what is the need of agricultural marketing, the answers will be the same, right? First one, there is a perishability of the product. I will be comparing this with the industrial production so that it will be a little more easier for you to understand, right? What about the produce which is produced in the agricultural as well as in the industry? Okay, I have a phone with me. This is a okay. This is a phone is actually a product of manufacturing industry, right? So at the same time, I have some tomatoes which is actually grown in my kitchen garden. Okay, both of the things. How much days I can delay the marketing? Phone I can market for maybe another 10 or 15 years, because until and unless it is untouched, the depreciation will be much less. At the same time, the tomato will not be persisting for another 1 week, right? Perishability. Because of the perishability, the marketing should be prompt. Marketing should be proper. Imagine that there are no consumers of tomato here. For example, there are apple production in the Himachal Pradesh. Obviously people there in Himachal Pradesh would be eating apple for sure, right? But there is no maybe the apple production is not there in Maharashtra. Okay, there are still people who require apples in Maharashtra. What will be happening? Can they delay the marketing of the apples from Himachal Pradesh that to take miles to reach the Maharashtra? No, they have to have some storage techniques or maybe some good well maintained transportation facilities for the proper marketing, or else whatever they are producing, it will not be reaching to the ultimate consumers, right? So first one is perishability. So perishability is actually one of the major issue which actually happens to the agricultural products. Therefore agricultural marketing is having its specific importance. Second one is seasonality of production. There is absolutely no problem in the case of industrial products, because all the facilities and the arrangements which actually required, it will not be depending upon maybe whether it is summer season or winter season when it comes to a manufacturing of car or bike or phone or whatever it is. But in the case of rice production, can I fix like, okay, I can start rice production at December? No, it is season bound, right? That's why we are studying in your agricultural production and different courses like maybe Kharif, Rabi, Said, the monsoon dependency, all these things are there. So seasonality of production is another important issue when it comes to the agricultural marketing. Third one is bulkiness of the products, right? After the harvest, the bulk that we are producing is very much higher, right? So therefore, the transportation, the management, the storage, the packing, the assembling, the grading, standardization, all these things are requiring separate standards for each and every uh, what we call for it scale of production, or maybe from locality to locality, or from crop to crop, or region to region, right? Everything is changing. So therefore bulkiness of products is actually another issue. Another thing, variation in the quality of the produce, right? I am applying the same land, same labor, same capital, same fertilizer, pesticide and everything. In the same crop I can see different types of size. The apple will be of different sizes. The apple will not be ripening at the same time. It will be of different sizes, different shape, different color, maybe different what we call for it texture, right? It can vary. So therefore variation in the quality. So when you are going to buy some fruits or vegetables in the market, where your attention will be firstly will be going on, wherever the apples which is actually very much good in color, very much uniform in size, and consumer should be indifferent, right? Like, okay, whatever things I'm taking from this lot, it will be okay. In the first look itself, it should be there. At the same time, there is another tray which is actually having mixed one, which is having overripe one, maybe some unripe one, maybe some mix. I mean, some disease infected one. All these things are there. Whether you will be interested to buy it or no, right? So therefore, variation in the quality in the marketing process is having very much important. So that's why agricultural marketing is important. Then irregular supply of agricultural products. Even if the market price was good during the starting of our production, it's not sure that the production process will be completed. There are different kinds of risks and uncertainties when it comes to the agriculture production when we are considering with the industrial production. In the industrial production, the chances of risk and uncertainty, even if the prices are going down, they have that non-perishability with respect to the industrial product. But in the case of agricultural product, perishability, post-harvest losses, maybe during the production process, pest incidents, disease incidents, maybe some climatic aberrations, maybe lack of enough rainfall, or maybe unavailability of electricity, or maybe enough water. All the things, maybe an occurrence of drought, pest and disease incidents. All these things will be affecting your final production, no matter what actually your market demand is, right? So therefore, irregular supply of agriculture products can be an issue. Then small size of holdings and scattered production, especially in the case of India, more than 70% of the producers or farmers are small and marginal farmers who's actually having less than 2 hectares of land. So therefore, the scale of production will be much lesser, and much of the small and marginal farmers are following the subsistence farming, right? So therefore, in order to overcome the problems of maybe profit, or maybe the problems, what we call for it, like they will be diversifying their crops. They will not be specializing in a single crop. So therefore, if they are having 2 hectares of land, half hectare will be for one crop, another half will be for one crop, right? So therefore, the total output from a single enterprise will be much lesser. And who will be, see, if there is a progressive farmer who's actually having quintals of produce, and there is a normal farmer like me having maybe only a half acre of produce, then what the buyers will be preferring, or maybe what the wholesalers will be preferring, they'll be preferring only the progressive farmer with the best produce, right? But I have only some normal produce, so it will not be having much what we call for it, acceptance in the market. So therefore, agricultural marketing has to be in an efficient way to accommodate the small and marginal farmers too. Then product pricing, the prices are fluctuating, we will be seeing that in the final slides. And finally, there is processing. Much of the agricultural producers will be requiring enough processing in order to get the consumers appeal. So these are the specific challenges for agricultural commodities, which is why agricultural marketing is very much important. So coming to some structural analysis of agricultural markets or markets. So there are some conditions to which a market to be called as a market. So what are those conditions to apply, or in order to call a market as a market, some conditions should be there. So what are those conditions? The first condition is nothing but there should be existence of a good or commodity for the transaction, right? So there should be a particular commodity for transaction. Until and unless there is no commodity, there is no market at all. There is no invisible things, right? So therefore, there should be a commodity, existence of a commodity should be there. But still, we are telling that physical presence or physical existence is not at all necessary. Even if it is somewhere else also, it is fine. But still, there should be a commodity backing up. There should be a commodity backing up, right? So therefore, it's not necessary that the physical existence should be present in the market. For example, if two people are selling some land, okay, they are not buying and selling the land in the land, or standing off on the land. Maybe they will be selling, okay, maybe by documents in some register office or something, right? So therefore, it is actually backed up by something. Land is there, right? So therefore, the physical existence should not be there. It's not that necessary, but still existence should be there. It should be there somewhere, okay? Second, existence of buyers as well as the sellers. The producer should be there, the consumer should be there. So commodity is there, producer is there, consumer is there. And the third one is business relationship or intercourse between the buyers as well as the sellers. Until the production is completed, until they are finding somebody who's actually requiring it, then what is the point of producing it, right? So maybe in a market there can be some producers in one side, there can be some consumers in some other side, but until and unless they are not connected with each other, the effective marketing process or the process of exchange is not going to happen, right? So therefore, there should be a business interaction between the buyers as well as the sellers. So we have a commodity, we have a buyer, we have a seller, we have a business relationship between the buyer as well as the seller. And finally, there should be a demarcation of area to define how much the market is actually getting covered. It can be a region, like a place, or maybe a region or a country, or the whole world. So in order to define how much the span of market, we need the boundaries of the market. That is nothing but the demarcation of the area. So these things are the necessary and sufficient conditions to call a market as a market, right? So these conditions should be both necessary and sufficient. Then what happens in the process of agricultural marketing, or in the case of marketing? It will be creating time utility, place utility, form utility, and possession utility. Maybe in the microeconomics, you would have studied the different types of utility. Form utility is nothing but the utility which is derived by virtue of the change in form, right? Maybe from coffee beans to coffee powder, maybe from the normal coconut to nata de cocoa, right? Maybe the tea leaves to tea powder. All these things will be there. Then place utility by virtue of the position, maybe from Himachal Pradesh to Maharashtra. When the apple is getting transported, it is getting more value. Form utility, place utility, time utility. Can somebody reply me how actually the time utility is getting created? I'll be checking the chat box. How about possession utility? Possession utility is nothing but how it is happening by virtue of changing the ownership. If I'm renting out something and if I'm buying something, the utility that I'm deriving is much higher, right? For example, if I'm not having a scooty with me, so I'll be always, whenever I need, I'll be borrowing a scooty of my friend, right? So I know how much value I'm giving to that scooty. At the same time, I'm earning something and I am buying a scooty for myself with my own money. How much value I'll be getting from that scooty? It will be much higher because that is there in my possession. It's because of my ownership. So change in or transfer of ownership will be giving you the possession utility. Yes, storage. Mango available on off season. Yes, exactly, correct, right? So time utility is nothing but by virtue of postponing the consumption. Maybe right now actually the mango season is almost completed, but after this, like the mango season, it's actually off season, right? But what if we are storing the mangoes, or what if we are creating some artificial conditions to produce these mangoes and making available to the market? We are getting some additional benefits or some additional satisfaction, because it is not supposed to be there in the market, but we are getting it, so we are happy about it, right? That is a major thing. Ask your mothers, maybe they'll be watching the TV serials and all, right? Usually they'll be seeing it in the night period, like during the maybe during your dinner period, maybe after 7 p.m. or something, right? Again, this will be re-telecasted in the maybe afternoon period, maybe in the next day they'll be rewatching it again, because it is supposed to happen in the evening period, but they are getting an additional utility where it is actually not supposed to happen, because afternoon they are free, everybody is free, so they can see the re-telecast if they were busy in the last day. It's giving you some time utility, right? So this is nothing but the different. So marketing creates all these kind of utilities. It creates the storage is there, so therefore time utility is there. It is actually changing the place from one place to another place through transportation. It gives place utility. It is changing the form through the processing. It will be giving you the form utility, and finally it is actually transferring the exchange of production from buyer to the seller or seller to the buyer. So therefore the possession utility is also created. Then it ultimately increases the satisfaction of human needs or wants. It will be from the producer side as well as the consumer side. Okay, from the consumer side, they are getting whatever they actually require to sustain. They are happy, they are satisfied. From the producer side, they were actually giving their efforts, their land, labor, capital, all these things, and they are getting their returns for the work they have given. They are also getting satisfaction while actually properly marketed and getting enough price. They are also satisfied. So everyone is getting what actually they require. Then exchange of goods and services is actually happening in the economy, and transfer of ownership rights. Everything will be happening in the case of marketing. Then these are the some importance of agricultural marketing. It helps in the resource use and output management, increases of farm income, widening of the markets, growth in the agro-based industries. All these things are some general things only. You can, even if there will not be such questions from here, even if it is there, it will be an all of the above. I think you can manage all these things. It's very easy. We can see some complex and interesting things. So these are some of the dimensions of market, like how actually we can classify or segregate the markets. Like we need to understand the marketing process from the span of production, or maybe how much quantity of producers actually getting transacted, or maybe how many people are there, or how actually the structural performance of the market is. So all these things will be consisting of different dimensions of market. Maybe where actually it is located, area of coverage, time span, volume of transaction, nature of transaction. All these things will be coming under different dimensions. Based on the dimensions, we will be classifying the market. So right now we are going to see the different classifications of market based on all these dimensions. Okay, so the first classification, so in every classification we will be having some base, a dimension. So based on one dimension we will be classifying the market into different things. First dimension is nothing but based on the location. or we can say where actually this market is located, or where actually the place of operation is happening. Okay, this is very easy. See, there are almost like 12 kind of classifications are here, right? So whenever we are going through a classification, you should relate with your practical scenarios, you should relate with your surroundings, then only you can understand all these things. If you are simply by hearting, it means like there are too much classifications, it will be easily confused when you're when you're writing the examination, because you'll be having a panic mode for sure when you're writing the examination. So in order to reduce that panic, we should relate with something that I have. When I am seeing a village market, the market that I am having near to my hometown will be coming. Okay, okay, like I'm so happy about it, because like okay, from the childhood, when some guest is coming, my mother will be telling that okay, go bring some milk, I'll be directly going to the nearby shop, right? That is nothing but your village market. So when it is there in my mind, I will not be forgetting it. So relate all these things with your own local examples. Okay, so based on the location where the place or area of operation is happening, that is first one is it is classified into village market. It is obviously maybe most of the students here will be from the village background or maybe rural background. You will be familiar with the village markets. It will be located in the small villages, so the major transactions will be happening based on the same people only. For example, whenever I am going home in the evening, we'll be having some milk societies there, right? Some regional milk societies will be there. So in the evening, some milk society vehicle will be coming. All the people who are the livestock growers will be collecting their milk, and they will be coming. All the people who want to buy the milk, they also will be coming there. It will be given to these people. They will be just marking, and they will be just distributing this milk to the other people, right? So this is how, this is actually a village market, right? So therefore first one is called village market. Second one is primary market. So this is the location or place of operation. So the place of operation is getting wider and wider and wider. Okay, first one is it was actually covering a little village only. Right now we are going to a little more higher, right? So therefore in the primary market, it is located in towns near the centers of production of the agricultural commodities. Some cities will be there, right? It's not kind of a metropolitan city. It is like the small towns will be there nearby to your home, right? The village will be having a town in the center, or maybe which is actually the all the villages will be going and gathering and purchasing all the required items. That is nothing but the city centers, right? So therefore primary market will be situated in the city centers. And here in the village market, what actually happens, as I have already told, the transaction between happens between the regional people only, the village people only. Maybe the buyer as well as the seller will be drawn from the same village. But in the case of primary market, this farmers will be there, or the producers will be there, consumers will be there, also maybe some traders also will be there, because some traders which is coming from other villages can buy the products in bulk from here, and they can transact to the or go to the other villages, right? So therefore major part of the producers brought for sale by the producer farmer themselves. Transaction usually takes place between the farmers as well as the primary traders. There actually it was directly from the farmers to the consumers. Here actually some traders also will be coming. Okay, some area of expansion has happened here. So this is nothing but the primary market. Third one is secondary market or secondary wholesale market. So in order to get not confused, primary market is also known as primary wholesale market. Okay, you can call it also as primary wholesale market. So here this is the most important thing. The traders are coming in the primary market or primary wholesale market. Here in the village market, only the people who are drawn from the village directly, mostly the consumers as well as the producers. Coming to the secondary wholesale market, again our area is actually getting a little more higher. So we had our village, then we moved to the city center. Right now we are going to the district headquarters. District headquarters will be a little more sophisticated. Maybe different types of shops will be there, different kinds of market will be there, and different kinds of people also would be coming there. So therefore the intermediaries who is playing here in this market will be much higher when we are comparing with the primary market as well as the village market, right? So in the secondary wholesale market, markets are located at the district headquarters or the trade centers, or it can be near to the railway junctions, and the major transaction takes place between the village traders as well as the wholesalers. So we had some village traders in the primary market. They've collected all the things from there, and they are dumping it to the secondary market, because in the secondary wholesale market we have very big traders, very big merchants as wholesalers, right? So they will be collecting it from the wholesalers. So therefore who are the key players here? You will be seeing village traders as well as wholesalers, village traders as well as wholesalers. Okay, so if somebody asks you like where you can find the wholesalers, which kind of market? You will be finding the wholesalers. That is a common question which is asked in our examination. It's none other than your secondary wholesale market. Also, you can see some more other people. Who are all those things? Commission agents, weighmen, brokers, all these additional market middlemen that we are going to study in our future slides will be there here. Okay, so all these people will be coming in your secondary wholesale market, and it is there in the district headquarters or trade centers. Clear? And finally, there are called something called terminal market. So what is terminal market? As the name suggests, what is terminal? Terminal is nothing but something it is going to end, right? So finally all these things are disposed to the final consumption. It can be, maybe it can be for an export, or it can be directly to the consumers. So finally we are going to dispose all these things. Like right now we were doing the assembling. From the village we have assembled, then we have taken it to the secondary wholesale market, then to the terminal market, and from the terminal market to the final consumption point, we are just disposing it off. Such markets are called as terminal markets. So producer is either finally disposed to the consumers, or processes, or assembled for the export. It can be directly for consumption, it can be for processing, or it can be for exporting to some other countries. So markets are well organized here. They will be having, see, when it comes to a terminal market, as we know, it will be dealing in the quantity in very bulk, right? So therefore there should be adequate facilities. It will be very much developed also. It can be having storing facility, cold storage facilities will be there, better transportation facilities will be there, better standardization, grading, packing facilities will be there. All these things will be there, right? So therefore all much of these markets will be, you will be seeing in the metropolitan cities like maybe Delhi, Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, and Cochin. So this kind of terminal markets you can see in the case of metropolitan cities. And finally then there is called seaboard markets. The name itself has suggest, you can compare this with the terminal market also. It's more or less the terminal market, but terminal market we are terminating the assembling process and disposing it. Here in the seaboard market we are exporting it over the seas. Overseas marketing is happening. So seaboard markets are located near the seashore, and mainly for the import as well as the export. So these markets are located in mostly the port cities. Which are the port cities? Maybe Mumbai, Chennai, Kolkata, Cochin, such kind of port cities. You can see this seaboard market, seaboard, right? Then finally there are called something called modern terminal market. These are some of the modern government initiatives to promote the marketing of some of the perishable commodities such as fruits and vegetables. And here the government has taken initiative to promote modern terminal markets for fruit, vegetables, and other perishable commodities for important urban centers country, to provide some state-of-the-art infrastructure facilities for e-auction. So this is a kind of, like, we'll be studying some kind of regulated e-nam kind of stuffs. Okay, so here what actually happens is, like, for the fruits, vegetables, or some kind of perishable commodities, in order to fasten the marketing system, in order to speed up the marketing system, in order to increase the efficiency of the marketing system, government has launched some electronic portals and all, in order to dispose it very much easily, like kind of like we will be using our Flipkart, Amazon kind of things, right? So we don't know where actually the product is, but still we will be connected with the sellers very much easily with a kind of, with maybe with our fingertips. Such kind of markets are known as modern terminal markets. But from your exam point of view, majority of the questions will be asked till this seaboard markets. Is it clear till here? Can you follow me? Okay. So coming to the second dimension, it is example for modern terminal market. Sorry, I don't actually actively recalling it. Even I don't know whether it is actually there in the entire agricultural marketing system. Maybe you can use it as enam, but enam is actually dealing with the majority of the food grains also. So I don't know whether you can quote enam, but it is some kind of a, what we call for it, some kind of some electronic auction taking place, electronic marketing system which connects the producers as well as consumers and through the electronic process. Okay, I'll check, like, if I get some examples I'll be giving you. Okay, so second dimension, basis of area or coverage. Okay, base, like how much area it is covering. There it was actually where actually it is located. Right now we are trying to see how much it is covering. Okay, it's more or less connected with the location. there actually where it was located. Right now we are going to see how much area it is getting covering. First one is local market. You can easily relate it with our village market. Village market was actually located in the village. Local market will be covering some one village or a little group of village. Okay, markets in which buying and selling activities are confined among the buyers and sellers of the same village or the nearby village. So only it will be covering a little group of villages. Such kind of market can be considered as local market. So here majority of the commodities will be transacted will be perishable commodities, because you can't transport this perishable commodities like maybe fruits or vegetables to more than a little extent, because like usual farmers will not be having much enough storage, cold storage facilities and all, right? So therefore they will be selling it in the same village or the nearby villages. So for example, milk, vegetable, all these markets will be example for the local market. It will be covering a village or a few villages. Then some regional markets are there. Regional market, again, our span of area which is covering is actually increasing. So what happens in the regional market? Buyers and sellers are drawn from larger area than the local market. It's the for example, it is none other than the food grain market. So in the regional market, if you are saying, you can see it can be covering major districts or even maybe states. Okay, it can be like, okay, for the example, the rice market will be having like the kind of rice that we are eating, which is produced in Tamil Nadu or maybe in Kerala, will be covering Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. So that much area will be covered in the case of regional market. So that's why actually we are giving food grain markets in India. This was this was actually previous question. Okay, so food grain marketing in India, food grain markets in India is actually an example for the regional market. So it will be drawing the buyers and sellers from the different states also. Then comes the national market. Here the entire country will be the market for the particular product. So buyers and sellers are at the national level. For example, apples, oranges and all, from one point to another point it will be reaching. Then finally the world and international market, again the area of coverage is actually changing. Here the buyers and sellers are drawn from the whole world. You can see some of the spices, the beverages like coffee, tea, then some machineries like maybe the phones and all, or cars, bikes, then ornaments like gold, silver, diamond, platinum, all those things. These will be having some international attention. So therefore, international marketing. So world or international market. So this is how actually the area of coverage will be going on. Then the third dimension, based on the time span, how much time a market will be working. First one is short period markets. Short period markets, it will be having only a few hours in a particular day. For example, markets which are held only for a day or a few hours. For example, if you are going to a fish market, you'll be seeing like the fish market only will be, it will be there only for a few hours in the morning, right? After like maybe 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock, it will not be there. Every fish will be coming there. It will be sold in the morning itself, and after that the market will not be there. It will be restarting in the next day. So therefore it will be working for only a few time or a small time for a particular hour. So short period markets, markets which are held for only a day or few hours, fish market, fresh vegetable market, milk market, all those things will be coming under the short period markets. Second one is, okay, so as you already know, since our examination is approaching, like we have given huge discounts on our different courses. There are different test series that you can in the affordable prices you can buy, and you can try out your uh, preparation. Like you can improve your preparation by going through the test series. Also we will be having our target batch. So therefore I guess we will be having some students here who are actually aspiring for the next year exams also. So for them also, like we will be starting our new courses, the Sreshta batch. So just reminding it, yes, the according to based on the time span, we will be having the periodic markets. Then we had our short period market. Then the second one is periodic market. So in the short period market, we had only a few hours of uh, marketing. Second one is periodic market. In periodic market, it will be like maybe once or twice in an entire week it will be working. Such kind of market is known as periodic market. Okay, market on a specific day. For example, you would have studied of maybe heard of this Thursday market, Monday market, Friday market, all these things. Like only single day that market will be there. Rest of the week it will not be there. Such kind of markets are known as periodic market. Okay, so short period market in a single day, few hours. Periodic market in a week, once or twice. Then long period market, the time span is again moving, right? Markets which are held for a longer period. Okay, so prices are governed by both demand okay, before going to this, in the case of period, especially in the case of short period market as well as in the periodic market, what do you think the price of the commodity, you know, right, like the price of the commodity will be the price of the commodity will be what we call for it, like decided by two major market forces. First one is demand and second one is supply, that you would be knowing, right? So what do you think, which is the major price determining force in the case of a short period market, whether it will be demand or whether it will be supply? What do you think? Can you type down in the chat box? Price of the commodities in the short period market, obviously we know that. Okay, demand. Any other answers? Yes, the answer is demand. Exactly. So why actually this happens, I'll be explaining it. Okay. For example, as I have already told, in the short period market, the market will be there for only a few hours, right? So whatever the stock which is already available in the market, that has nothing to do with the additional production. Okay. But at the same time, the consumer's demand can vary. For example, I am going to a fish market on a normal day, on a weekday, maybe it can be a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, the demand for the fish will be as of normal. Okay, because like not everyone will be coming in the market in the case of weekdays. At the same time, if you are choosing the days like Saturday and Sunday, it will be mostly holidays. People will be like they will be staying at home, maybe everybody will be there at home, and they will be trying to cook a little more non-veg and all, right? So therefore they will be choosing to buy, so therefore obviously the demand will be more. At the same time, in every day, the supply of fish that will be coming to the fish market will be almost similar. Okay, imagine that on a random day, maybe like a Thursday like this, it was suddenly, it was actually proclaimed as a holiday or something like that, or people, for no reason, the demand for the fish has been increased, but at the same time supply is same there, right? So therefore the supply, if we are checking the supply curve, it will be almost perfectly inelastic, right? Because you cannot change the supply at all, your quantity supplied fixed there. Even if you are checking that okay, the demand is more, you cannot directly import or you cannot directly catch the fishes as soon as possible. It will be happening only in the next day, right? So on the same day, in the short period market, the supply will be the same. So therefore only demand will be the price determining forces. Imagine that the demand was like this, your price will be this, P1. Imagine that, as I have given, when the demand has increased, maybe the demand has shifted to maybe D dash, what happens? The price has shifted to P2, right? Again, if the demand is increased, the price has shifted to P3. But whether the supply is actually making some changes here, no. Supply has nothing to do with the prices of the commodity here in the case of short run. Only the demand can play change in the prices in the case of short run commodities. But we are coming to the long period market. When the case of long period market, we have enough time to change the demand as well as the supply. Our capacity to our capacity is going to change. We have that much time here. So therefore the long period market, both the supply and the demand will be having equal importance in setting the price of the commodity. But when you are coming to the period market or short term market, the supply is actually not having much importance, because supply is fixed there. It is not having much influence in the price. Only the demand will be having influence in the price. So therefore in the long period market, prices are governed by both demand as well as the supply forces. And in the long period market, the example is food grain and oilseed markets. Okay, food grain and oilseed market. Based on the location, where was our food grain market? Can you type down? Based on our location, where was our food grain market was there? Okay, then the fourth one is secular market. Secular market, as the name suggests, it is of permanent in nature, right? So in the permanent in nature, commodities which are durable will be transacted here, because like it's like kind of machineries and all, for machinery, manufactured goods, because it is not that perishable. So therefore always the demand and supply also will be there in the what we call for it in the economy. So therefore secular market is of permanent nature. So this is for the durable commodities. Yes, regional market is for exactly regional market is actually we are seeing as the example, sorry, for regional market we are seeing the food grain market as an example. So these are the major classification of based on the different time span. Then coming to the volume of transaction, how much bulk of the quantity is getting transacted in the market? Very easy. First one is wholesale market, second one is retail market. Wholesale market means like you can see a particular commodity in very much bulk, right? Maybe quintals and tons you can buy. At the same time, in the retail market, all the things which is actually particularly required for the consumer population of that area only will be there. You cannot see this gold or you cannot see the silver in the nearest shop that you are having in your hometown, right? Why? Because people are not requiring it. The same time, in the nearest shop you will be seeing many maybe rava will be there, maybe bar will be there, soap will be there, maybe some candies will be there, all these things will be there because like people are using it regularly. So in the retail market, you will be seeing the things in the short lots, because direct in a small lots, because consumers will be directly approaching the retail market. In the wholesale market, you will be seeing the things in bulk, right? So on the volume of transaction, commodities and brought and sold in bulk in the case of wholesale markets, it will be located either in towns or cities, and economic activities are concentrated among the larger population here. And when it comes to the retail market, they're located very near to the consumers, and transaction takes place between the retailers as well as the consumers. So if somebody asks you like which market is actually very much near to the consumer or closer to the consumer, it is none other than your retail market. This is nothing but the market that you loved when you were coming back from your school to your home. You will be standing somewhere and you will be buying something like maybe some candies or maybe some sip ups or something, right? Like that, right? So that is nothing but your retail market. Okay. Then basis of the nature of transaction, how actually the transaction is getting takes place. First one is spot market or cash market. If you're going to buy a tea from your cafeteria, you'll be buying it, you'll be just Google paying maybe 10 rupees. You're settling the amount on spot, right? So that is nothing but the spot market or cash market. Whenever the purchase is done, spot the payment is given, that is nothing but the spot market or cash market. So vegetable market, fish market, or whatever it is. Second one, forward market. What is forward market? Here actually there is actually a time lag between the price payment as well as the delivery of the product. Such kind of market can be called as forward markets. So market in which purchase and sale of a commodity takes place at time t, but the exchange takes place at some future time. Okay, so for example, I and some of my friend is actually going into an agreement, so that I actually am paying this money, but he is telling that he will be delivering this thing maybe after maybe 1 month or 2 months. So actual delivery is actually happening maybe after a future point of time. Such kind of market can be called as forward market. So there may not be any exchange of the commodity in some cases. Maybe we'll be seeing how actually it works in the case of hedging when we are explaining the hedging. Here actually maybe the price difference upon the market prices, what actually the difference is happening, that they will be settling it up. Maybe the exchange of the commodities may not be sure. At the same time, it may not be there always. So these are the different classifications based on the nature of transaction. Then number of commodities which is actually transacted in a market. First one is general market. Many number of commodities will be transacted there. All type of commodities brought and sold there. For example, food grains, oil seeds, fiber crops, all these things will be there. If you are going to a margin free supermarket, you'll be seeing all the things. This Vishal Mart, T-Mart, all these things will be kind of a general market. You can see everything in that market. At the same time, there will be some specialized market. If you are going to the fish market, you cannot ask some, okay, can you give me some soap? You will not be getting it, right? So market in which transaction takes place only one or two commodities which is specialized for a single commodity, such kind of market is known as specialized markets. Then based on the degree of competition, you would have studied this already in your what we call for it microeconomics, right? In market structure, we have studied different markets like perfect market as well as imperfect market. So what was perfect market? We had a set of assumptions. If those assumptions are met, we are telling the market as perfect market. If some of the assumptions are not met, we call it as imperfect market. So what were the assumptions? What were the assumptions? Perfect market assumption: there are infinite number of buyers and sellers, equal and infinite or large number of buyers and sellers will be there. all the buyers and sellers will be having perfect information about the demand, supply, and price of the commodities. Then prices at any one time is uniform. This is also known as loop. What is loop? It is nothing but law of one price. Law of one price. This is nothing but loop, right? So in a perfect market, since the products are homogeneous and people are aware of the prices, quantity, supply, demand, and everything, or only a single price will be there, and we know actually what happens if the price increase or decrease. So market will be pushing off the seller, right? Or they'll be attracting the more sellers. So this is actually happens. Then the transportation cost is zero, perfect mobility of the factors. All these things are the major features of a perfectly competitive market or perfect market, right? Perfect market. And if some of the assumptions are violated, we will call it as imperfect market. So in imperfect market, we have studied different markets like monopoly market, where only one single seller is there; duopoly market, where only two sellers are there; oligopoly market, there are only few sellers are there; and monopolistic competition, where actually it's like resembling to monopoly as well as perfect competition. Large number of buyers and sellers are there, but not as in perfect competition. It will be less than that, but at the same time the product will be heterogeneous in the case of monopolistic competition, whereas the product will be homogeneous in the case of perfect competition. These are the basic ideas. Then you would have studied this monopsony, duopsony, oligopsony, then bilateral monopoly. All these things are coming under this imperfect markets. One of the assumptions of the perfect market is getting violated, we will be considering it as an imperfect market. So I guess like you will be having a basic idea of all those things. Yes. Then basis of the nature of commodities transacted. There are commodity markets and capital market. What type of commodity is getting transacted in a market? First one is commodity market. In fish market, fish is getting transacted. In a milk market, milk is getting transacted. So there is a commodity. Such kind of market are known as commodity markets. Then what is capital market? There are some other markets where actually there is no commodities but something else, which is actually some virtual kind of things. You would have many people who are watching in this live will be having some kind of stock trade or something, trading kind of thing like that. Such kind of markets are known as capital market. For example, share market, money market. Maybe some underlying commodities will be there in somewhere else, but the transaction is happening based on some shares or bonds or debentures or something like that. Such kind of markets are known as capital markets. Then comes basis of the stage of marketing, where actually the marketing stage. First one is producing marketing, second one is consumer marketing. So producing market is nothing but markets where actually the assembling is happening. Maybe in a regional, in a village level, there will be many farmers. So they all will be producing paddy. So there will be a market where actually it is actually collected from every farmers and it is going to getting distributed to the next stage. Such kind of market is known as producing market. What is consuming market? Maybe like if you are going to some margin free supermarkets like Vishal Mart or D Mart or whatever it is actually supposed to give for the final disposal. The consumers is actually directly getting the products for the final consumption. Such kind of markets are known as consuming markets. So mostly this will be finding it in the thickly populated or urban centers, but in the case of producing market, you can see this market in the case of areas of production, like kind of in a village area or rural area. Then extent of public intervention, you can see that regulated market as well as unregulated market. So what is a regulated market? Regulated market is nothing but in a market, in order to overcome the inefficiencies or in order to increase the efficiency of the marketing system, what they will be doing is like they will be kind of adopting a kind of democratic rule there. They will be making a statutory body as a head. Okay, even in your class you will be having some representatives, right? So one class representative is there to connect with the higher officials, or else like how he is actually getting elected. He is getting elected because based on the common acceptance by the entire classroom, right? So this is how actually here also it works. There will be a statutory body which will be having, this is a group of people which will be having a member from the producers community, which will be having from a member from the consumers community, which will be having a member from the intermediaries, maybe some kind of market middlemen, right? For therefore the policies will not be changing, the market policies will not be changing with respect to a particular, what we call for it, a particular interest of a particular group. It will not be exclusively protecting consumers what we call for it interest. If it is only protecting the consumer's interest, the producers are going to get suffered, right? Yeah, almost every portion will be covered in this class. Okay, so regulated market. So this extent of public intervention. So therefore, we will be having a statutory marketing, and this is known as regulated statutory marketing committee, which is regulating the practices or maybe some basic standards or maybe the way of responses. All these things will be coming under this regulated market. So there will be a regulation, market regulation will be there. But there are some other unregulated markets, which is actually only depending upon the demand as well as the supply, prices, practices. Nothing is actually getting regulated there. Such kind of market is known as unregulated or informally regulated market. Then the type of population which is served, if it is serving the rural population, it is called as rural market. If it is serving the urban population, it is called as urban market. So based on the market functionaries and accrual of the marketing margins, we can call it as farmers market, where actually the farmers are getting better. When the farmers interest is getting protected in a market, such kind of market can be called as farmers market. We'll be seeing some of the examples of farmer market in the future slides. Then there are kind of cooperative marketing, where actually the principle of cooperation is what we call for it the principle of cooperation is obtained or followed. Such kind of markets called as cooperative market. Then there are called general markets. We already seen like different types of population or different types of products which is actually accommodated in a single market. Such kind of market can be considered as general market. So this classification is not that important, just based on some advanced book I have just included it. So based on like the initial classification from your exam point of view, it is very much important. And please do remember who are all the intermediates who are working, where actually the area and the area of coverage, and finally what are the key players who's actually working there, which kind of people you can cite out in a kind of particular market. That is majorly important from the classification point of view. Okay, is it clear till here? We are moving to a next session. So this is something called the evolution of our market. Okay, this is called an evolution of market. So initially in the beginning we had some general markets. So general market is nothing but, in a market you can see different types of products. We have already seen, right? Different types of products will be there. So when we are having different types of products in a market, for example, if you are going to a vegetable market or fruit market, that is still it is a general market. Like every kind of fruits and vegetables will be there. So therefore it is really difficult to assess the quantity or the quality of different things. Like see, I need to buy some vegetables to my home. Okay, I am going to a general market. I can see different sellers there, and from maybe some persons will be having maybe 5 vegetables, some other persons will be having 10 vegetables, but this 5 persons will be selling more quantity, but he is actually having only less quantity. When I'm moving again, I am seeing just one farmer with one seller with maybe two or three another vegetables. So I am literally getting confused, like where from I should purchase, what is actually the quantity and quality, how I can comprehend the quantity and quality and the diversity of this much products in a single seeing. It is really difficult, right? So finally I'll be just randomly picking, and I'll be whatever my mind says, I'll be just picking and I'll be coming back. That is nothing but the general market. So we had this general market first, then this market evolution moved to specialized market. So specialized market means like for a particular commodity, we have seen what is actually a specialized market, right? So for a particular commodity, there will be an entire market. So when we are going to that market, we have the particular point of view, like, okay, I know what actually want to purchase. Okay, so when I am going to the specialized market, it is kind of a perfectly competitive market. Like everything will be almost homogeneous product. So therefore, the confusion from a general market will be much lesser right now, because I have an idea of what I am going to buy, because like that only will be there in that market. That's how comes the specialized market, right? Then comes this dealing with samples. When I am going to the specialized market, again there is a problem. Like, okay, I am going to a market. Okay, it's like a full mandi, a flower market. Okay, different types of roses are there, or different types of jamantis are there. Okay, different types of flowers are there, or maybe jasmine or whatever it is. So I am literally confused. Like, see, numerous sellers are there selling the almost same products, and I'm literally getting again confused, like, okay, where from I should purchase, who's actually having a little more, I mean, less perishability, it will be fresh a little more time, I don't know. I can understand, right? I can't understand. So different qualities will be there, right? Some will be like kind of a little faded, some will be having some good order, some was actually not having some good order, such kind of things. Some are actually aligned in a good way, some are simply just but it is a kind of a piled up scenario. All those things are there, so I am literally confused. So there from again another evolution happened, dealing with samples, right? So here what actually happens is like we are trying to classify this particular product to different types, different categories. Maybe it is actually not, it's like kind of a bud, something is actually having almost opened, some other things are actually fully opened, some other actually like you can just tear it off and use it to make some picture or something like that, you can use it. Some different types of things are there, and if I can take a sample from a lot, that lot will be representing that entire quantity. So I am not getting that confusion. So if I need it in a bud stage, I am going to the bud stage because that is a category is there, so therefore I will be taking a sample, it is good, so therefore from this category I need more. That is the basic idea. This is where actually dealing with samples. Then again, it progressed to an advanced manner. It is nothing but dealing with grades. What happened in dealing with grades? Here actually we have some set standards. Proper standards are there. And if we are telling that this standard is maintained, there is no point of checking it again for the quality or quantity. If this is actually say some government authorized general standards are there, and for example you would have heard of this 916 hallmark, right? 916 hallmark. What is this 916 hallmark? This is actually a standard for the gold. If this 916 hallmark, this is actually a grade, right? So if this mark is there means we don't want to check about the purity of the gold that we are having. 916 hallmark means like if you are taking almost 1000 gram of gold, 916 gram will be gold, and the rest will be only the impurities. If this is not there, there can be more impurities, and the quantity of the gold which is contained in that will be much lesser, right? So therefore we have some grades, and if one lot is actually specified with a particular grade, then it is very much easy to pick from that, because the desired quantity or the desired quality that I require is there in this particular grade. So from the general market we proceeded to a specific market, then from specific market we proceeded to a case where dealing with samples, and after that we dealt with dealing with grades. So this is how actually the evolutionary functional growth of the different types of markets. Then we are going to some important ideas of market structure, market conduct, and market performance. So we shall see first what is actually market structure is. Market structure is nothing but, it is nothing but the size, design, as well as the operation of the market. So how actually the size, design, and operation of the market is going to affect our marketing. That is nothing but the market structure. So this is actually the formal organizational setup, like how actually a market is, it's like how I can say this. Uh, when I'm going to a market, how actually it is maintained, like the structure, the organizational setup, all these things will be coming under this market structure. And this market structure will be, there are some components of the market structure. Through these components, you will be understanding how actually this organizational, the size, design, the composition of the market is actually defined. Okay, so we have some different components of the market structure. The first component is nothing but the concentration of the market power. How actually the market power is getting concentrated. For example, I can give you some examples. Like we have a market called monopoly, we have a market called duopoly, we have a market called oligopoly. So in these three cases, we know that the absolute power is there relying with a single seller in the case of monopoly. It is divided between only two sellers in the case of duopoly. It is divided between a few sellers in the case of oligopoly. Thus, the concentration of the market power is actually changed in different types of market, right? So based on the concentration of the market power, we can say like how actually the market structure is getting done, right? So monopoly, the concentration of market power will be always there with a single seller, right? So concentration of market power is actually the first component of the market structure. Second one, degree of the product differentiation. How actually the product is getting differentiated. If it is homogeneous, I can say that it is a perfectly competitive market. If it is actually heterogeneous, I can say that it can be an imperfectly competitive market if there are more sellers and buyers. But at the same time, if there is only a single seller and if there is only a single, that means like infinitely heterogeneous, nobody can even imitate it. Such kind of market is none other than our monopoly, right? So therefore the degree of product differentiation is affecting the market structure. Then the conditions for entry of firms in the market, whether there are some barriers or not. If there are no barriers, we can say it as a perfect market structure, right? If there are barriers, we can say it as an imperfect market. There are absolutely infinite barriers or you cannot even enter, you can say it as a monopoly market, right? Then again, flow of market information. We already saw that in the perfectly competitive market, there is perfect information. Everybody knows about everything. But at the same time, when you are proceeding to the imperfect market, you'll be finding the flow of market information is asymmetrical, or information asymmetry is actually a problem there. Then finally, the degree of integration, like how much the market is getting integrated. We'll be seeing this integration in the further slides. So all these things are actually deciding how actually the market structure is. Based on these components, we can see how actually the size of the market is, how actually the market is getting designed, how actually the system of the market is going to work. I know how actually a monopoly market is going to work, because if I'm going to a monopoly market, I am damn sure that whatever price they are quoting, I have to pay it. At the same time, when I'm going to the perfect market, for example, food grain market or something like that, we know that there are infinite producers, so therefore I'll be getting in a fair price, or at least we also have a say in the price, right? So this is how actually the market structure is getting constituted, and these are some of the major components of the market structure. Then market structure will be deciding two major things. First one is market conduct and second one is market performance. So what is market conduct? Market conduct is nothing but how actually the behavior of the market is, how the market is behaving, whether it is a good boy or a bad boy. Okay, that is nothing but a market conduct is. So what it is, the patterns of behavior of firms, especially in relation to the pricing and their practices in adopting. For example, if we are checking the behavior of a monopoly market as well as a perfect market, when it comes to the monopoly market, they are literally aiming the profit maximization. You already know that. For that, they can do anything. Even if there are some competitors, they'll do whatever to eliminate them. They'll be maybe reducing the price like anything, which is also known as a predatory pricing. So therefore, even the other competitor can't even meet their own expenses or the cost of production. So therefore, they will be automatically eliminated. So a monopoly market, we can't assure that the market, the firm's behavior would be good or bad. Okay, such kind of behavior is there. At the same time, in the perfect competitive market, everybody is actually in consensus with each other, because we are selling the same thing and we know that there are buyers. So therefore there will not be much kind of rivalry, or maybe some what we call for it, competition between them. They will be just simply doing whatever they want. So the price setting policies, the practices that they are doing. And see, there are some markets, like you would have seen when the energy crisis happened in Delhi. What actually happened was, like, there were actually cylinders available in the normal distribution channel, but in the black market they were getting more money, almost double the money. So what actually happened, they literally created the artificial scarcity. They literally took out all the cylinders which was actually going through the normal channel, in the domestic channel, and they have kept it secret, and they have supplied it in private with an increased manner. Whether the price setting behavior was good or bad, it was bad, right? So this is nothing but the market conduct, whether actually the market is a good market or a bad market. That is nothing but the market conduct is. I guess you are getting it. I am going through a layman language in order to just give you a better understanding regarding the market conduct. Then comes the market performance. Market performance is none other than, based on the structure, there are some organizational setup, there are some behavioral setup, that is nothing but the market conduct. So based on the structure and based on the behavior, what actually the market is performing to the economy, that is nothing but the market performance. What is the economic outcome? Yes, thank you. So what is the outcome based on structure and conduct, that is actually given by the market performance. So the economic results that flow from the industry as each firm pursues its particular line of conduct. When every firm is actually following a particular line of conduct, what actually the entire economic system is getting. For example, if there is only a monopoly market in the case of energy here, what will be happening? Obviously, the producers or the one who is actually supplying will be getting higher profits when some energy crisis or some kind of world war kind of things is happening there. But at the same time, what is happening to the consumer community? They are getting really affected, right? They are literally getting adversely or badly affected. At the same time, if they were actually following the particular line of conduct, even there was a war happening, Indian economy would have been stabilized a little more. So this economy is actually facing some issues just because that we are not following the particular line of conduct. Those forms were not following the particular line of conduct. This is actually see, all these things are literally like some kind of what we call for it, like some philosophical things, right? It's not only in the case of agricultural market. We also have the same things. We have some structural abilities. We have some conduct, and we when we are doing it in a good way, we will be getting good results. If we are not using it, we will be getting some bad results, and the people who are associated with us also will be getting good results, or maybe based on our behavior they'll be getting some bad results. That's it, nothing else. So this is how actually the market performance. Okay, so how actually we can measure it? The market performance, the efficiency with which how actually the market is working, the existence of monopoly power. If more monopoly power means obviously there are no other producers, so therefore it's not like kind of a equal or just system. Then dynamic progressiveness, like maybe see COVID-19 happened, right? COVID-19 happened. Suddenly, this sudden lockdown happened. Everybody was actually there in our home. I still remember I was doing my UG program at that point of time, and we were never thought of this online classes would be starting. It was not there in our mind, right? What was actually our phone and laptops were used maybe for some works and all those things. But actually, what happened? This sorry, Google Chrome came, then sorry, what is coming? Google Meet came, then Zoom is coming. All these things are coming, and this online learning is actually started based just because of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So therefore, the information, this what is the product here? It is nothing but the information. So in order to transmit the information or in order to market the information, whether the market is actually having a dynamic progressiveness or not. What if actually India was still in the independence time, like the network is not there, this much kind of network providers are not there, and still the pandemic was hitting? We would have been even like maybe 3 to 4 years it would have been taking to maybe to recover our things. But suddenly, based on the requirement, our market, our information technology market was dynamically progressive enough to combat with the basic problems that we were facing when in such kind of a bad situation, right? So that was actually a good performance. We could assess the performance of Indian information technology market system was actually good, right? So this is how actually the dynamic progressiveness of system in adjusting with the size and the upcoming what we call for it, the situations. Then finally, whether the system promotes equality, whether everybody is getting equal opportunity, whether the producer, whether the consumers, whether the intermediaries as well as the government is getting equality. Just society is created by the performance of the market. So these are some of the measures to identify or perform the assess the market performance. So these are some of the basic idea of market structure, conduct as well as market performance. Then comes some of the yeah, with this we have already studied. Then comes one of the important idea we have to study in the agricultural marketing, that is none other than the producer's surplus. So what is producer surplus? Producer surplus is basically is a very simple concept, but you have to give a little more attention because too much conceptual things are there. We have studied something called consumer surplus. We are going to the shop, we are buying something. I was ready to pay 100 rupees, but only 80 rupees was costing. So 20 rupees was there in my pocket. That 20 rupees is nothing but my consumer surplus. Similarly, imagine that I'm a farmer. I am going to the market. I'm expecting that for my product I'll be getting 100 rupees, but from the market I am getting 120 rupees. So additional 20 rupees is there in my pocket. That is the producer surplus. That is what we studied in the microeconomic class. Okay, here actually we are dealing this idea in a little different way. Both are the same, but still in a different way we are going to check it. Okay, producer has produced something, right? Producer has produced something, like maybe, okay, maybe 100 quintals of some products. This 100 quintals he is actually not going to consume, but a part, maybe 1 quintal he will be consuming. So therefore additional 99 quintals are there. This 99 quintals he can give to the market or to the non-farming population. That is nothing but the producer surplus. So after his requirements, what is there to make available to the entire, the product producers can sell after meeting his need. Exactly. So what is the total product where after his requirements he can make available to the entire population? That is nothing but the producer surplus. So producer surplus can be classified into two. First one is marketable surplus and second one is marketed surplus. Marketable surplus is nothing but the same idea only. What actually the producer surplus is. So it is very important to understand what is the difference between marketable and marketed surplus. Marketable surplus is nothing but after meeting his requirements. So what are the requirements of a farmer? Imagine that I am a farmer. I am a paddy producer. Okay. So I have produced almost maybe 1000 quintals of rice. 1000 quintals of rice I have produced. So after the production from this 1000 quintals, I have some requirements, because I am not going to sell all these 1000 quintals in the market, because my family needs for the consumption for the next season. Until the next harvest is done, my family, maybe I will be having a joint family of maybe 10 members, maybe my uh, father, mother, my siblings, maybe my aunties, uncles, my grandfather, grandmother. It's a joint family. So therefore for them, as much as required, we will be storing it. So that is actually a consumption requirement. Again, some paddy will be utilized as a seed requirement for the next season sowing. So seed requirement is there, consumption requirement, feed requirement. Then some portion will be using it for feeding the livestock. So therefore there will be some feed requirement, right? So all this, maybe some labors, I would have hired some labors. So for them I have to pay it. So instead of paying it, I can give the salary as in the case of product itself, because I have a good harvest, right? So therefore along with some money, for the rest of the money I will be paying them with a particular amount of maybe some price, or some what we call for it. Exactly, right. So that is also, so all these things are what his consumption requirements. So of the 1000 quintals, how much he is actually requiring, deducting that, what is rest, that only he can give to the market. So what he can give to the market, we don't know whether he have given it or not. What he can give after requiring, after meeting his requirements, that is nothing but your marketable surplus. Okay, so what is marketable surplus? It is none other than the total production minus total consumption. So what are the consumptional requirements? It can be for family consumption, it can be for farm needs, seed needs, feed for cattle, payments to the labor, payments to the landlord as rent. All these things will be the consumption. So imagine that I was producing 1000 quintals, and almost 10 quintals I have taken for my entire consumption needs. So what is the marketable surplus? 1000 minus 10. 990 will be your marketable surplus. So 990 quintals of paddy or rice you can make available to the entire market. This is the idea of marketable surplus. So next comes the marketed surplus. As I have already told, even if there were 990 quintals he can make available to the entire production, entire population, we don't know whether he have sent it entirely to the market. He can send this 990 quintals, or maybe lesser, or maybe even more. That is nothing but the market. So marketed surplus. So actually how much he is actually made available to the non-farming population or to the entire economy. That is the idea of marketed surplus. So marketable surplus, after consumption, how much he can send to the market. Marketed surplus, how much he actually sent to the market. Okay, how much he actually, this is a practical thing. Marketable surplus was a theoretical thing, because deducting the consumption, it's his ability to send to the market. Marketed surplus means actually in practical reality how much he have sent it to the market. That is the difference between the marketable surplus and marketed surplus. So we shall see what is the relationship between this. This is very important. since there are only 3 lines, but this is really conceptual understanding is required in this area. So what is the relationship between the marketable surplus and marketed surplus? We shall start from the third one. Marketable surplus is equal to marketed surplus. It's nothing but after the consumption requirement, whatever he is having, he is sending into the market. Where actually it will be having? For example, I'll be giving an example. Maybe some fish market or some a fisherman, or maybe a livestock rearer. That would be better. A livestock rearer. He is having a cow. Every day, this cow is actually giving him 30 liters of milk. For the house purpose, he is actually keeping 2 liters. So rest 28 liters are there. He is feeling like, okay, the price is not good. I'll be storing maybe 10 liters and I'll send it tomorrow. Whether it is possible? No. Because milk is really perishable, very much easily perishable. So therefore, after his consumption requirements, irrespective of the price of the product, he'll be sending it off to the market. At that point of time, what is his ability and what he actually sold in the market will be easy, will be the same, right? So therefore, marketable surplus and marketed surplus will be same. So for example, it is none other than your perishable commodities. Your perishable commodities as the example for the marketable surplus and marketed surplus. Then comes second one, marketed surplus is less than marketable surplus. For example, we had a paddy farmer, right? So therefore, he was actually having maybe 1000 quintals. This was actually his total production. His total consumption was 10 quintals. So therefore, the marketable surplus was 990 quintals. This is none other than his ability to send to the non-farming population. So we have 990 quintals, right? But at that point of time, he is understanding that everybody is actually having this kind of rice. Every producer is sending the same rice to the market. So as the supply increases, obviously the price will be decreasing, right? So he is actually not getting the expected price. He was expecting a price of 50 rupees, but he is actually getting only maybe 20 rupees or 25 rupees per kg or something like that. So what he actually decided is like, for his intermediate like or immediate consumption, he will be sending maybe okay 500 quintals he will be sending now. 500 quintals he will be sending right now, and rest of the 490 quintals he will be just keeping it with himself, waiting for a period where the price will be increasing, because the farmer is price conscious. He want to make more profit. So right now for his expenses, he'll be sending 500 quintals. So what is this 500 quintals? It is nothing but his marketed surplus. His marketable surplus was 990, but the marketed surplus is just 500 quintals, because he is actually a good farmer. He is actually a progressive farmer, or maybe he will be having enough storage facilities, because for the large farmers or the progressive farmers only, they will be having storage facilities, right? So therefore, your marketable surplus is greater than your marketed surplus. You had more to sell. You are having more availability, or you are having more ability to sell in the market, but you chose not to sell it whole. You will be storing in some part to get more profit, and you will be selling lesser than that. This is none other than your second case. So therefore, your marketable surplus is greater than your marketed surplus. So therefore, this happens in the case of maybe durable commodities like food grains and all, or maybe for large farmers or progressive farmers where they are having adequate facilities to store this. Until and unless you can do that, right? So such kind of relationship happens in the second scenario. Then what happens in the first scenario? Marketed surplus is greater than marketable surplus. So here we had 1000 quintals of total production. The paddy farmer was having 1000 quintals of total production. His consumption requirement was 10 quintals. But what actually he is doing is none other than he is cutting down his consumption requirement to 5 quintals. In fact, they require 10 quintals, but he is cutting his consumption requirements to 5 quintals, and he is selling it. Okay, so in fact, after total consumption, 990 quintals was your marketable surplus. 990 quintals was your marketable surplus. But cutting down his expense, just deducting 5 quintals, he is actually selling 995 quintals to the market. So this is actually your marketable surplus. This is actually your marketed surplus. So marketed surplus is greater than the marketable surplus. When this will be happening? When the farmer will be cutting down his consumption expenditure. This is a situation where actually the farmer has no way. He will not be even minding his consumption expenditure. He is cutting down his consumption expenditures, right? Like means, yes, for distress sale, marketed surplus greater than marketed surplus. It is distress sale. So what is this distress sale? Distress sale means the farmer is actually indebted like anything. The farmer is actually having many much payments to do. Okay, along with this normal consumption expenditure, maybe some medical emergencies, maybe the family requirements, maybe the payments to the landlords, everything is very much higher. So therefore, from the normal consumption, he's cutting down it, and he just want to generate maximum returns from what he have produced. Then only he can repay all the loans and all the things that he is actually having. Okay, this is where actually marketed surplus greater than marketable surplus, and that is known as distress sale. So therefore, this condition is also known as distress sale. Distress sale, and this is actually found in the case of small and marginal farmers who's actually doing kind of subsistence farmers and all, because they don't have storage facilities, they don't have any other side incomes. So therefore, they had to cut down their normal consumption expenditure and sell the entire produce to the market, so that they will be getting the returns even if the price is lower. Even if the price is lower, he's forced to do that just because he want to get the revenue and do the payments as soon as possible, because he is in such a stressful scenario. That is why it is called distress sale. I hope it is clear. Okay, then different factors which is affecting our marketable surplus. So always remember, the marketable surplus is nothing other than your total production minus total consumption. So always think about this: total production minus total consumption. So how actually these factors is going to affect our marketable surplus? First one is size of holding. More the size of holding, more will be the production. So therefore, production side will be increasing. Consumption side, we are not concerned about it. It will not be increasing because it's just size of the holding, nothing else, right? So therefore, as the size of the holding increases, family size remains the same, requirements will be the same. So therefore, marketable surplus will be increasing. So therefore, size of the holding will be having a positive relationship with your marketable surplus. Second one, production. What if the production is increased? Earlier I was using a conventional variety, right now I am using a high yielding variety. So as a high yielding variety is actually adopted, obviously what will be happening, our production will be increasing. Earlier I had maybe 500 quintals, right now I am producing 1000 quintals. My production increased, my marketable surplus also will be increasing. So therefore, the ability of the capacity to send to the non-farming population is increased. Production also increased. Price of the commodity will explain. Fourth one, size of the family. What if size of the family? Compare the same kind of production with respect to a nuclear family as with respect to a joint family. The requirements will be more in the case of joint family, because they need more food, more consumption, more medical expenditure, more educational expenditure, more payments, right? So therefore, as the size of the family increases, consumption, this negative side increases, marketable surplus is going to reduce. So therefore, the size of the family will be having your market, the relationship between the size of the family and the marketable surplus will be in inverse relationship. Requirement for the seed and feed, again it is in the consumption side, right? If the requirement for the seed and feed increases, your total consumption expenditure increases. Being the production is constant, your marketable surplus is going to reduce. So requirement for seed and feed is also giving you a negative relationship here. Okay, sixth one, nature of the commodity. Here this is actually not directly related with the positive and negative relationship. It is like kind of how type of the commodity is going to affect your marketable surplus. For example, if you are considering with a food commodity with a non-food commodity, for example, when it comes to rice, yes, the total consumption expenditure includes the eating. But if you're considering a cotton producer, cotton farmer, the consumption expenditure will not be having that consumption of eating, right? It will be just for maybe seed purpose and all. So therefore, the consumption expenditure will be much less in the case of a non-food commodity. So nature of commodity, as commodity changes, marketable surplus is going to change. It will be depending upon the commodity. Then the consumption habits, this I have already mentioned, right? As I am a South Indian, I prefer rice items. And if I am going to Haryana and Punjab, I will be getting roti items, right? But we know that, okay, the Green Revolution seat was on Punjab and Haryana because of the Ganga, the fertile lands of Punjab and Haryana, right? They will be producing maybe good amount of rice, but at the same time, they will not be consuming it much because they prefer wheat, they prefer roti. So therefore, there the marketable surplus will be much higher because the consumption requirement is very much less. But for a same farmer who is actually producing rice in the case of South India, their consumption expenditure will be more. So therefore, the consumption habits also will be changing. It will be depending upon the marketable surplus will be depending upon the consumption habits. Then comes the price of the commodity. You would be already knowing it. Price of the commodity is actually having a negative relationship as well as a positive relationship. So how actually among all these factors, a factor which is actually giving you both positive and negative relationship is only the one that is none other than the commodity prices. So how it is going to affect our the marketable surplus, that is actually what we are going to see now. So we have seen that there is an inverse relationship as well as the positive relation. Almost positive relation you would be already knowing, like how actually the positive relation, farmers are price conscious. Farmers are price conscious. When more price is there, more will be sold. It's none other than our law of supply, right? When prices increase, more supply. When price is reduced, lesser supply, right? So therefore, when more price is there, more will be sold, more marketable surplus. When lesser price is there, lesser will be sold and more will be stored. That is none other than the positive relationship. So this is given by V.M. Dandekar and Raj Krishna. This positive relationship was given by V.M. Dandekar and Raj Krishna. That is fine. That is actually a normal thing. Then how actually the price is going to affect the relationship? Price is going to affect negatively the marketable surplus. That is our point. So how actually it is affecting the negative marketable surplus in a negative way? Here actually the point that you have to understand is none other than the inelastic cash requirements of farmers. Inelastic cash requirements of the farmers. So what is the inelastic cash requirements or pressing cash requirements? As I have already told when we are studying, when the distress sale thing happened, why actually the farmer was pushed to cut down his expense or consumption expenditure and had to sell it suddenly to the market, because he had too much requirements at that point of time, irrespective of the price. Even if the price was less, even when the price was less, he was forced to sell all the things. His marketable surplus was higher. Why? Because he was forced to sell all the things in order to meet his requirements, right? So therefore, due to the lack of postponement of his cash requirements, he need the cash at any way, because until and unless he don't have cash, he can't go through, or his subsistence is actually getting questioned. So at that point of time, even when the price is reduced, the marketable surplus will be increasing. You got my point? So that how actually the inverse relationship is happening. And this is actually given by two major groups. First one is Mathur and Ezekiel, and second one is Olson and Krishnan. So the scientists are also really important who have given the positive relationship of marketable surplus and price of the commodity. The question will be asked. Who will be given you the negative relationship? That also can be asked. So this is actually an important slide from your exam point of view. Then marketing mix, there will be random chances of asking you marketing mix. The terminology marketing mix was coined by Neil H. Borden, and McCarthy defined this market mix as 4 P's. So maybe which are the 4 P's of marketing that can be asked. They'll be just maybe jumbling the order, or maybe they'll be just adding some additional unnecessary P's here. Okay, so what are the 4 P's? Product, price, place, and promotion. Product, price, place, and promotion. All these 4 things are coming under the marketing mix. Then marketing margin and price spread. So here, before starting this, you should understand what is a marketing channel is. So a marketing channel is none other than, we have seen like this entire marketing process is starting from the production end to the consumption end, right? Or from the farmer's gate to the consumer's plate, right? So therefore, we have a producer here. Listen carefully so that we don't need any slides more to understand the marketing margin and all. So therefore, we'll be starting with the producer. Maybe there will be the first one. There will be an assembling stage will be there. Okay, assembling stage. This will be doing with from a village trader. Okay, so this is a village trader. Then after that, it will be sold to a maybe a wholesaler. Right. This is a wholesaler. Then this wholesaler will be selling this to a retailer. And finally, this is actually coming to the consumer's plate. Okay, so that is none other than your consumer. So that's how actually we are telling that the market intermediary who's really close to the consumer is none other than your retailer, right? So this is none other than your marketing channel. So the route through which the agricultural produce is getting marketed from the production end to the consumption end is known as a marketing channel. Okay, in the marketing channel we shall see what are actually happening. So what is a market margin? Market margin, if we are checking in a particular intermediary, for example, there is a wholesaler. Okay, this wholesaler will be buying this from the local trader for maybe 50 rupees. There is actually 50 rupees. This is actually his buying price. The wholesaler brought the product from the local trader or the assembler with 50 rupees. Okay, and he will be selling maybe at some point of time or maybe in another point of time, he will be selling maybe for 75 rupees. So this is actually his selling price. So for a particular intermediary, what is actually the difference between the selling price as well as the buying price? This is none other than your market margin. Okay, this is none other than your market margin. Okay, so this market margin is actually two types. You can see two major types of market margin. First one is concurrent margin. Second one is lagged margin. So this is very important. So what is the difference between the concurrent margin and the lagged margin? Both are basically the same thing. The difference between the selling price as well as the buying price. This is not only applicable to the wholesaler. What is the buying price as well as the selling price in the case of assembler? What is the buying price difference between the buying price and selling price with respect to the retailer? Everything will be giving you the market margin of that particular intermediary. But it can be calculated in majorly two ways. That first one is concurrent margin and second one is lagged margin. Concurrent margin is none other than what actually we have done here. 75 rupees minus 50 rupees, 25 rupees. This is actually your concurrent margin. It's market margin, but this is actually a kind of concurrent margin. What is actually concurrent margin? Suppose wholesaler has purchased this in the month of May, maybe this month. Okay, but he sold this on the month of November. Okay, there is actually a delay in time period, and you already know that time period is actually affecting the money value. But here in the case of concurrent margin, we are not checking the difference in the time value or something like that. We are not considering the real value. You already know the real value, guys. Real value is nothing but deflating with the increase in the price level, right? Real value. We are not, if we are keeping the time value there, we will be checking the real value. But here we are just taking the absolute difference. Absolute difference is what was the buying price and what was the selling price. Okay, so 50 rupees was the buying price, 75 rupees is the selling price. I am not caring about whether the time period as well as the change in the money value in this period of time, and I am just checking the difference. That is a market margin, and that way is none other than the concurrent margin. It is none other than calculating the marketing margin without considering the time. Without considering the time. I am not considering the time. Simply I am just taking the difference. Then comes the lagged margin. What is a lagged margin? Imagine that in between this period, that war issue has actually worsened and it actually made some inflationary tendencies. And this inflationary tendencies was such a way that 75 rupees in the November is equivalent to 50 rupees of today. I know that the inflation will not be going till that level, but still. So, if so, what will be the difference actually? If 50 rupees of today is equivalent to 75 rupees of November, then the market margin will be literally zero, because like it will be the real value of 75 rupees will be 50 rupees only, and therefore there is no difference between the purchase price and lag price, selling price, right? Why? Because we have accounted the time here. In concurrent margin, we were not accounting the time value of money, but in the lagged margin, we are accommodating this time period as well as the money value to understand how much actually the real value change happened in the case of buying as well as the selling. Such kind of calculation of market margin is known as lagged margin. So I hope major components are here. What is a marketing margin? What is concurrent margin kind of calculation, and what is lagged margin kind of calculation? If it is really difficult for you, just think like, or just by heart like, concurrent margin you are not using the time. In lagged margin you are using the time, or you are giving a factor of time, or you are accommodating the time. When time is involved, it is lagged margin. When time is not involved, it is concurrent margin. Clear? I hope it's clear. Okay. So along with this, we'll study one more concept. What is price spread? What is price spread? So market margin is none other than the difference between the buying price and selling price of a particular intermediary. Okay. So assembling, he have given it 50 rupees, so he have brought it maybe by 25 rupees. Okay. Imagine that producer has sold his what we call for it, his product to the assembler or maybe the local trader for 25 rupees. And finally, the retailer has sold this to the ultimate consumer to 80 rupees. Because like all these things will be, why actually there is a difference? All these things will be having some marketing cost and some storage cost, maybe some taxes and all these things. And also there will be a little revenue for the one who is actually handling for the entire time. He also requires some profits, right? So that's why actually there is a difference comes. Some storage cost, maybe some transportation cost, also maybe some revenue or profit or margin we call it. So that's actually the difference from the selling price to the purchasing price. So therefore, producer sold his commodity for 25 rupees, but consumer bought that commodity for 80 rupees. Okay, so what is the entire difference? What is the selling price of producer and what is the buying price of the consumer? That is none other than 80 minus 25. This is actually your price spread. Price spread. Okay, this is nothing but your price spread. So 55 rupees was actually lost in between the marketing channel. Sorry, yes, 55 rupees is lost in the marketing channel, and just only 25 rupees is actually reaching the producer. Out of the 80 rupees, only 25 rupees is reaching the producer. Okay, so right now we will be seeing one more thing. It is none other than assessing the performance of the market efficiency. Okay, in order to, like, we have seen some market performance, right? So in order to measure the market performance, we will be seeing the market efficiency. So in order to assess the market efficiency, we will be using a terminology or a concept called producer's share in consumers rupee. Producer's share in consumers rupee. So consumers rupee is 80 rupees. What is the producer share? Just 25 rupees. So what is the share? It is none other than 25 divided by 80 into 100. This will be giving you the share of how much the producer is getting from the consumer. So this is nothing but the producer share in consumer rupee. As the producer share in consumer rupee increases, the market efficiency is also increased, because no money is actually wasted in between. The more money is actually wasted in between means like lesser efficiency or lesser performance of the market, right? So what do you think? When we are, why this is actually why we are promoting the direct marketing, because producer will be getting the entire money which is actually spending by the consumers. As much as intermediaries increases, as much as the marketing channel is getting longer, your efficiency will be lesser and lesser, because it is really difficult to manage this much long marketing channels based on a single system. So these are some of the basic concepts. So we have studied many things with a single image: market margin, concurrent margin, lagged margin, then market cost you already know, I guess, like whatever cost which is incurred, maybe in between transportation cost, storage cost, whatever cost which actually one intermediary is actually facing during the buying to the selling, that is none other than the cost of that intermediary. Entire cost is summated, you will be getting the marketing cost. So marketing cost, marketing margin, price spread, producer share in consumer rupee, and how it is affecting the marketing efficiency. This much things we have cleared here. Okay, so marketing margin, price spread. Coming to market segmentation, I guess it is clear. Can you just give a uh, text message there? Is it clear? Okay, coming to market segmentation, here why actually the market segmentation is required? What, see, the name itself suggesting that we are actually segregating the market, we are cutting down the market here. So what actually we are doing here? Why we have to cut down the market here? Here, let me give you an example. For example, like during our classes also I have given the same example. Like you would have studied some sorry you would have seen some of the baby products, like maybe some kind of toys, or maybe some kind of baby foods, like maybe Boost, Complan, Horlicks, or maybe some kind of like maybe diapers or something. All these thing kind of uh, products, if you are seeing the TV advertisement, there will be some kind of a cartoon character involved. A non-existent cartoon character will be involved. Why is it so? It's just because to get an attraction from the kids, because they are always into the cartoon characters rather than the normal intellectual natural characters in the advertisements, right? They are not even attracted or interested in any of the, what we call for it, some actresses or models or something like that. They literally is actually requiring some kind of cartoon characters. So most of the things, like if you, whenever you are seeing an advertisement with a virtual character or a cartoon character, you can damn sure that it's clear that it is actually meant for some kids or maybe mothers of kids, right? Why actually they are doing such kind of a placement of the product based on such kind of advertisements? It's just because they literally want to segregate the people who are actually requiring that product with nobody else. Obviously that's sure that we are not going to get attracted to such kind of products, right? We are not going to attract such kind of baby products or something at this age of time. Am I correct or what? Yes. So market segmentation is actually basically, we know that the entire population is a heterogeneous population. There can be kids will be there can be teenagers, adolescent people will be there can be people like us, youth will be there can be middle-aged people will be there can be pension people will be there, old age people will be there, right? So this is actually, male is there, female is there, school going people are there, working class is there, the unemployed are there, employed are there, well settled are there, marginalized category is there. See, the society is literally a mess, right? So from this heterogeneous population, how the producer can pick the right people who actually requiring it? That is a very big question. Until and unless we can't understand how much people are actually requiring our product, there is no point of placing a product, right? How actually good films are getting promoted in the entire market? It's just because how much value that cast of the film is getting having, or how actually the public is actually responding to the cast which is actually already there in the film. Then only they can place the product, right? Until and unless, let the direction will be okay, let the camera will be okay, let the story would be in, insignificantly good, but if they are having maybe newcomers, the film will be flop, right? It's for sure. At the same time, maybe with a very bad story, with a good cast, or maybe a famous actor or actress who's actually coming in a movie, it will be maybe success in the market, right? So film is actually a product. So it is to find out like how much people who are actually requiring this kind of product from this heterogeneous population. That's for we are doing this market segmentation. So this process is actually segregating or separating the different types of population into homogeneous units, units, like maybe those people who are requiring it or those people who are not requiring it. We are separating it. And if we are having a population which is actually requiring it, it's very easy to place the product in order to go for a better marketing. That's what we are doing in the market segmentation. So we are dividing the entire differentiated population into homogeneous units in order to market the product better. That idea is known as market segmentation. So there are four types of market segmentation that we are studying. First one is demographic segmentation, second one is geographic segmentation, third one is behavioral segmentation, and fourth one is psychographic segmentation. First one is demographic segmentation. Demographics, what is demographics? It is none other than the study of population. Demography means population characteristic features. What are the different population characteristic features? Maybe age group will be there, maybe sex will be there, right? Maybe the income levels will be there. All these things are the different population characteristic features. So the population, like how much men and male and female are there, how much kids are there, how much middle aged are there, how much unemployed and employed are there. Accordingly, based on the population characteristic features, how much we can introduce. That is where actually the demographic segmentation is there. For example, if we are dealing with a video game console, okay, if I'm thinking about a video game console, most of the people who are using will not be a middle aged or maybe a pensioner. It will be always teen and youth, for sure, right? So therefore, if we are having a good population of teen and youth in the population, the product will be getting marketed easily, right? Likewise, and yes, you will not be starting a gym in a rural area, right? Why? Because you already know that people will not be using it. At the same time, if you are keeping the gym in an urban area, it will be there. It is based on the population characteristics, right? So therefore, it involves breaking the market into customer demographic, maybe age, maybe income, gender, race, education, or occupation, or whatever it is, segregating the population into homogeneous units and placing your product. For example, market segmentation strategy for a new video game console, I have already explained it. So the demographic segmentation. Second one is geographic segmentation. Okay. Second one is geographic segmentation. Geographic segmentation, it is actually a subset of demographic segmentation, but we are studying this as a separate one. In geographic segmentation, we are differentiating the what we call for it, differentiating the market based on the geography. For example, if you are going to the north of India, maybe Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, or maybe Jammu and Kashmir, obviously you will be requiring a winter cloth. At the same time, if you are moving to Rajasthan, especially during in the summer, or if you are coming to Delhi right now, you won't be requiring a jacket here, right? So therefore, how actually the jacket or the winter cloth industry is actually will be focusing, maybe it will be focusing on the seasons, or maybe it will be focusing on the geographical location, right? So geographical location is actually having much importance in the case of, for example, the umbrella industry is actually gaining too much importance right now in the case of South Indian states, because the monsoon is starting to hit there, and there will be almost like 3 months continuous rain. Without umbrella they can't survive, and obviously because of no use of the last previous years of umbrella, it would have been worn off, and they will be buying a new one for sure. And the school opening, the kids will be requiring. So it's based on the geography. At the same time, this one will not be actually requiring in the case of maybe North Indian states or Northeastern states right now, because until the monsoon hits, we are actually not going to use umbrella as much as we are having in a rainy season, right? So therefore, that's how actually geographical segmentation, based on the geography, we are segmenting the market. Then comes the behavioral segmentation. Behavioral segmentation is like based on the consumers data, how actually they are going to segment the market. For example, like what we call for it, yes, maybe regarding some Netflix subscription, or maybe based on the data package that you are using. Maybe do you really think like before the COVID-19 era, we used to recharge for maybe 2 GB of data daily? No. We were actually so happy and satisfied, and I was luxurious with even with 1 GB. I don't even know, like everybody would have recharged for 1 GB. Even 500 MB was actually luxury for us at that point of time. But right now, when with respect to 2 GB of data per day, can you survive? No. The Instagram reels, the YouTube reels, all the things, that maybe this classes, everything is coming, right? So therefore, they are using our, what we call for it, the consumer data, how much data that we are using, the evolutionary requirements of us, and that's how actually they are pricing it. They are trying to keep it with respect to this data plan comes with some additional subscriptions, maybe some Geo Hotstar, or maybe the World Cup is going on right now, so therefore they will be keeping some upgraded plans with a little more higher amount, coupled with some subscriptions with some kind of particular channels. Obviously we'll be choosing it, right? So that's how actually, based on the consumer data and our behavior, they will be just assessing us, they will be just keeping their product, and they will be just selling it. Such kind of segmentation is known as behavioral segmentation. And finally, there is called psychographic segmentation. When we are proceeding from the demographics, geographic, behavioral, psychographic is actually the most common. When we are evolving from one to another, everything is becoming complex, and psychographic is actually the most complex thing. Psychographic is actually like, it's really difficult to execute, but at the same time, what we call for it, like if it is success, it is the best ever segmentation that we can adopt. But it is really difficult, because the data obtainability here is actually really difficult. Because when it comes to population studies, we have census, That census data itself is actually giving how much female and male is there. So it is very easy to market a beauty product. The same time, when it comes to psychographic segmentation, it is advanced level. Like, we are trying to understand how actually the consumer is going to work, or consumer is going to buy based on their actual usual things. Okay, you would have studied the you would have seen some Netflix documentary called Social Dilemma. Based on our interests, based on our consumption interest, they are trying to make our own prototype. What if you are actually searching something in your Flipkart or Amazon? It will be automatically coming as an advertisement when you're scrolling your Instagram or your YouTube scrolls, right? How it is coming? They literally know that, okay, if he have searched for some t-shirt, in after 10 reels it will be coming with a maybe some Ajio ad will be there. After some 5 reels there will be some Indra ad will be there, right? So how actually, like, see, they are trying to use your data to make sure that you literally require it. I have no idea how much things I have brought, even which I have lesser interest, but seeing the advertisements, it's based on psychographic segmentation. But getting the data is really difficult. Until and unless I am not searching it in somewhere in Flipkart or Amazon, or I'm talking to somebody else, it will not be coming in my feed. So they can't actually imagine it, and it's really difficult to get the data from me. Until they are getting the data, they will be using it like anything. That is nothing but the psychographic segmentation. So as I have told, this is a complex kind of segmentation, but at the same time, this kind of segmentation will be helping to better marketing, or if this is successful, this is the best ever segmentation that you can follow. Okay, so these are the different types of market segmentations. Then different market functions. So as we have seen in different uh, in the marketing channel, we have seen different kind of intermediaries. From the producer, maybe some trader will be there, then wholesaler will be there, retailer will be there, in between maybe transportation function will be there. Any activity, any single activity that actually moves a product from the production end to the consumption end will be considered as a marketing function. Anything. Okay, if a driver is actually driving his car to take one product from one place to another place, that is a function which is known as transportation. Okay, so this transported, so he is actually doing a marketing function. So that's why actually I have told in the beginning, like, the market intermediaries are not that bad persons. Without them, the marketing function is literally impossible. So therefore, we are going to see some different kinds of marketing functions. So these are some of the basic classifications. So there are 3 types of classification: Thompson's classification, Coles-Sanders classification, and Converse, Hugen, Mitchell's classification. Thompson's classification is primary, secondary, and tertiary functions. Coles-Sanders classification, physical, exchange, and facilitative function. And Hugen Mitchell's classification, physical movement function, ownership movement function, and market management functions. So these are some of the functions. So we'll be seeing some of the basic kind of function based on the transfer of ownership. You can see selling will be there, buying will be there, along with that demand creation and price determination will be there. There is nothing to explain here much. So there are some buying and selling methods. You would have studied this in your Subhardi textbook. First one is sale under cover of a cloth, or you can say call it as Hatha system. Hatha system is none other than the buyer and seller will be coming together. They'll be holding their hands together. A cloth will be over this, and they'll be just pressing their fingers. They will be knowing the sign languages to arrive at a better price. Nobody else will be knowing. Only the buyer and seller will be knowing this. That is known as a sale under cover of a cloth method, or Hatha method. This is most commonly followed in the case of livestock markets. Okay, this is mostly practiced in the livestock market. Then there is sale through negotiations. It's nothing but the simply bargaining. Buyer and seller will be bargaining and arriving at a better price. Then sales based on the samples. So here actually what happens is, like, there will be, if I am a producer, I will be having a commission agent on behalf. So commission agent will be taking a particular lot of my product. Maybe I have 1,000 quintals, but he'll be taking maybe 1 kg of this one. So this 1 kg of product, he'll be making it into samples. He'll be having much connections of buyers. So for each buyer, he'll be giving a sample and asks him, like, okay, how much you will be paying for the sample. Everybody will be quoting a price. He'll be fixing the price with the one who's actually giving a better price, and the entire product will be given based on the sample. So this is none other than sale based on the sample. And the fourth one is Morgan method. Yes, Morgan method. Morgan method, here actually the selling is actually done soon after the produce, the harvest is done. Okay, the soon after the harvest, the as we have seen in the distress sale and all, urgent cash requirement will be there from the producer. So therefore, the product will be sold soon after the harvest in order to pay the bills and all. So therefore, in the Morgan method, the harvest price will be the selling price. Then there is open auction sale. You would be knowing this. In open auction sale, there will be the physical evidence of, or all the product will be there. Everybody can see, inspect, and know how much produce, how much price everybody will be quoting. So, some base price will be set first. Somebody will be giving 100 more. Somebody will be again calling for 200 more. Somebody else will be calling a 300 more. And therefore, what actually the demand for the product as well as the quality of the product will be known to everybody who is actually present there. And finally, who is actually the highest bidder, he'll be getting the price. He'll be getting the product. That is the open auction method. Closed tender method, or similar method only, but instead of calling it out, or instead of just announcing the price, they'll be, everybody will be given a sealed cover. Everybody who will be, whatever price that they are willing to sell, they'll be written in a paper, enclosed in the envelope, given to there, and some authority will be checking it and just reading it out, whom will be given what price, and the highest bidding will be given the product. So open auction sale and closed tender method is more or less the same. And open auction sale method is actually the major practice that you can see in the regulated markets. In the regulated markets, the major method of buying and selling is actually open auction sale method. Then there is also one more system called DARA system, D-A-R-A, DARA system. In DARA system, what actually happens means like mixed, the different type of quality material will be there. Different quality produce will be there. All those different quality produced will be mixed up together and will be sold in the market. Such kind of system is known as DARA system. So these are some of the different methods of buying and selling methods. Then function of physical movement, transportation will be there, storage will be there. Transportation will be giving you the place utility, storage will be giving you the time utility. So here both of the things, the physical movement of the agricultural produce is concerned. Then function of change in the form of the product, there is called standardization and grading, which is actually a really important concept in the case of agricultural marketing. In the case of standardization and grading, always remember that first process which will be undertaken is standardization. The second one is actually grading. So first you have to understand what is the difference between standardization as well as the grading. Standardization is nothing but setting some standards. So first some standards will be there. Based on the standards, like maybe a good quality, that is standard A. Second one is standard B. Third one is standard C. Fourth one is standard D. So from A to D, the quality is actually deteriorating or reducing. It doesn't mean like fourth one is actually that, but still, in order to check the quality, like the standard A, since it is having higher quality, it will be fetching higher price. B, it is having lesser than first, so therefore lesser than price, but still the B standard will be consisting of the products which is actually having similar quality, which is prescribed in the standard B. Okay, so first keeping the limits, this is nothing but the limits of the quality of the product. Setting the limits is nothing but the standardization. And based on the different standards, how actually we are classifying the products, that is nothing but the grading. Okay, so first standardization will be there, and second one grading will be there. And standardization precedes grading. Okay, so first standardization will be happening and grading will be happening. Or you can say grading will be following standardization. Grading follows standardization. Okay, grading follows standardization. Then there is another thing called packaging. So this is actually the first and foremost function which is performed in the agricultural marketing. Okay, first and foremost function which is performed in the agricultural marketing is none other than the packaging. So packaging, when it comes to packaging, you should understand two major things. That is, first one is packing and second one is packing versus packaging. I'll be giving you an example, not from the agriculture, in food processing units. Yes. So in the case of packing and packaging, what is packaging means, like if you are going to buy some Coca-Cola, it will be enclosed in a bottle or it will be enclosed in a can, right? So that is nothing but the packaging. The actual product is actually covered with a necessary can or container. That is nothing but the idea of packaging. What is packing? In order to, for the safe transportation and without deterioration of the entire product, this Coca-Cola can will be enclosed in a crate, right? That crate is none other than the packing. So therefore the individual thing is called as packaging, and the grouping kind of thing is called as packing. Okay, wrapping or crating is coming under packing. So therefore packing is always like having higher units. Packaging, it will be particularly for the what we call for it, like the um, conservation, or due to avoid the spoilage and keep the accurate quantity, which is actually, or unit basis, it is actually sold in the market. So this is the difference between packing and packaging. Then there are some facilitative functions, like in order to increase the efficiency of the marketing, there are some additional functions, which is actually yes, bottling. Yes. In order to increase the efficiency of the marketing, there are different marketing functions, which first one is market financing. It is none other than after the produce harvest, farmer will be having of no money, so therefore some additional credit has to be given for marketing of the produce. That is none other than market financing. Then there is called risk bearing, which includes the insurance of the product, and only if some natural calamity is actually happening, some additional things has to be done. That is none other than risk bearing. Then something called market information. Market information, as we have already seen, in a perfect market there should be perfect information, but in reality perfect market are really hard to find. Some information asymmetry will be there always. So price realization, or understanding how much price from one market to another market additionally I am getting, that is literally important with respect to each and every producers. So we should understand what is the market information. So in market information we have three different types of market information. First one is market intelligence. First one is market intelligence. Second one is market news. Third one is market outlook. So what is intelligence? Intelligence is not how actually your intelligence has been developed. Is it over the night? No. It is actually a culmination of all the experiences that you already have from your previous years, right? From your first standard, from your life experiences, and all those things will be coming under your intelligence. So similarly, market intelligence is none other than all the historical information regarding a particular commodity. Like in from 1990 to 2023, in this particular market, how much arrival has happened from season to season, or year to year, or month to month, or how much actually the price was varying. So all the historical information we have, that is the market intelligence. Second one is market news. What is the current status right now? What is happening in the market? What is the current availability? What is the current demand, supply, price, quality, all those things. And what is market outlook? Based on the market intelligence and based on the market news, we are trying to forecast like how much price it is going to increase or decrease. We are trying to model the previous kind of changes or fluctuations or information in order to forecast the future. If we are having a long term data before us, it's very easy to model the future prices, right? So that's none other than the market outlook. So this is the past, this is the present, this is the future. Clear? Then there are some market functionaries. So market functionaries are none other than our market middlemen who are actually participating in our marketing program. So we shall see whom all are the market functionaries. So the different types of middlemen. First one is merchant middleman. Second one is agent middleman. Then we have facilitative middleman. So what is merchant middleman? The basic difference is none other than merchant middlemen are those market intermediaries or the key players in the marketing channel who will be having the title of ownership of the produce. For example, if I am a retailer or a village trader or a wholesaler, what actually I am doing? I am buying the product. Once I brought the product from the previous intermediary, he is not having any right on that product. I brought it by myself. I have the title of ownership. So any market intermediary who have the title of ownership, I hope the title of ownership is clear. It is none other than the ownership right relies with me, because the selling and buying is completed. Even if he produced it, once the payment is settled, it's not him. It doesn't belongs to him. It belongs to me. The title of ownership belongs to me. If I am selling it to somebody else, the title of ownership is actually connected to somebody else. That is the title of ownership. So merchant middleman, the title of ownership will be there with respect to the goods that they are handling. For example, wholesalers, retailers, processors, all these people are having this kind of title of ownership. So therefore, merchant middlemen, they are the people who are actually taking the title of ownership of the goods. Then second one is agent middleman. So the difference is clear. Agent middleman is actually not having the ownership title. Ownership title is not there. They are just handling it. They are just handling it. They are not buying it, or rather they are not selling it. They are just handling from one intermediary to another intermediary. They are actually making a platform in between. That is the basic idea of agent middleman. So the examples are brokers and commission agents. Brokers as well as commission agents. So what is the difference between a broker and commission agent? First, we shall see the commission agent. So what actually a commission agent is doing? Commission agent, even if he is not taking the title of ownership, he is taking the physical possession of the ownership. He is taking the physical ownership of the the physical handling of the goods. For example, there is a seller. I am the commission agent. So he literally wants to get some buyers for it, right? So therefore I will be playing on behalf of him. So I will be telling that, dude, don't worry, give those stuffs, I will be selling it to somebody else. Okay, he is not selling it to me, he is just giving it to me, and I will be showing this to all my clients, and whomever who is actually ready to buy from me, who is actually giving me higher price, I will be selling it, I will be collecting the money, I will be taking my commission in my pocket, I will be just giving to it. So he is actually directing selling that thing to the next intermediary, but I was taking the physical commodity with me to show them, to sell them, and to give the commission. That is the commission agent. Okay, but what happens with the respect to the brokers? Brokers are also doing the same thing, but they are not taking even the physical handling at all. Brokers is like, if I am a broker, I am just seeing a buyer and he literally want to sell the produce, I will be telling, don't worry dude, I am getting you a buyer. I will be getting a buyer and I will be just connecting them. I am just being a platform. I am not even concerned about the physical handling of the produce. Okay, so they are literally directly connected to each other. I am not even touching the product. So physical handling is not there with respect to the buyer, but with the commission agent it is there. So they are the agent middleman. So merchant middleman and agent middleman. Then comes the speculative middleman. Speculative middleman means like they are a little more profit oriented ones. Here they, what actually they are doing is like, right now it's the season time, so therefore they will be selling it in a lower price. So I am a businessman or kind of a profit making person. I will be buy, because I have storage facilities and all, so therefore I will be buying this in a lower price because they will be selling it for sure, right? I brought it, I stored it, and I'm waiting for what? To the price to increase. Whenever the price is actually profitable to me, I'll be selling this in a different point of time, maybe after 6 months, because I have enough storage facilities. Maybe for 20 rupees I brought it, I would be selling it for 100 rupees. That much profit, I will be doing it. The entire process is called a speculation. Speculation. And how actually speculation works? Based on calculated price movements. If I have an exact history of market research, if I am doing market research based on the price information and based on the quality, based on how actually the demand will be growing in the future, what I'll be doing? I'll be buying it when the demand is very much less. So therefore, I'll be getting it in a fair price and I'll be selling it in the future when the demand grows, when the price grows. That is actually called as speculation. So the basic idea is none other than profit maximization. Then fourth one, this is none other than facilitative middlemen. Even if they are not doing many things, but they are increasing the marketing efficiency. For example, if you are going to some margin free supermarket, there will be some people who are uh, in every corner, some of the officials will be there, right? And why they are actually staying there? We can directly approach them and ask like, okay, where can I do this? Where can I get this? Whether this is there or not. So they will be just directing whether they are doing something, no, but they're giving us some information. But when they're giving the information, the marketing process is getting more efficient. Similarly, in agricultural marketing, we have different intermediaries, like maybe the people who are advertising, maybe the people who are transporting, maybe the people who are actually working as weighmen, hamals. All those people will be doing a little work, but still it is actually increasing the efficiency of the market. Such kind of a marketing, such kind of middlemen are known as facilitative middlemen. So which of the following is not a facilitative middleman? None other than a speculator, because he is a speculative middleman. So this hamali, grader, auctioneer, all people are doing little works, but still they are giving a perfect or increased efficiency in the case of agricultural marketing. Then these are some of the determinants of supply and demand. You already would have seen this in the previous classes. Then market integration. What is market integration? It is none other than consolidating the functions which is performed by different market intermediaries. So we have three types of different integration. the horizontal market integration, vertical market integration, and conglomeration. So horizontal market integration, it is none other than those market functionaries who are actually performing similar functions if they are doing it together under a parent management. That is none other than horizontal market integration. Example like maybe Vodafone and Idea. Okay, initially it was Vodafone and Idea. Right now they were doing the similar kind of works. Right now they have joined under a parent firm called VI. Still they are keeping their separate entities, but they are having their entire consumer population under the VI, right? So they were doing similar works. They are working together under a parent management firm, and they are doing it. None other than horizontal market integration. I think some airlines also recently, like the Vistara came under Air India or something like that, right? So similarly, same thing. Second one, vertical market integration. Vertical market integration means like some unrelated one, but in the same marketing channel. Okay, for example, we have, this is none other than our producer. This is actually our wholesaler. This is actually our retailer, and finally we have a consumer. This is actually a marketing channel, right? What if the wholesaler was actually doing additional work of a retailer too? So right now, wholesaler is doing the work of retailer, so therefore he is actually getting the additional audience of retailers too, right? This is none other than the vertical integration. Doing an additional activity in the chain of marketing channel. Okay, based on the type of activity which is actually taken by the vertical market integration, we have this as forward integration as well as backward integration. What is forward? Towards the consumer end. If the wholesaler is taking the activity of the retailer, it is actually towards the consumer end. This is none other than your forward market integration. What if the wholesaler thinks like, okay, why I should purchase from the producers if I am having the land? I can start the production and do the wholesaling and retailing together, right? So therefore the wholesaler is actually assuming the production end, or retailer is assuming the function of wholesalers. Backward towards the producer side, it is none other than your backward integration, right? So vertical integration is classified into forward integration and backward integration. Okay, so vertical market integration, assuming an additional activity but on the same marketing channel. Horizontal market integration, performing the same marketing function. Conglomeration, two unrelated marketing functions join together. For example, Tata conglomerate or Birla conglomerate. You can see maybe some steel industries will be there. There will be some car manufacturing companies will be there. There will be some telecom industries will be there. There will be some cloth making or textiles industries will be there. Whether all these things are connected? No. There will be airlines will be there. Everything are different, but all the different types of functions which is unrelated comes under a single umbrella, none other than the conglomeration. That's why they are called as conglomerate. Okay, so these are the different types of market integration: horizontal integration, vertical integration, and conglomeration. Then we shall see some of the price support schemes, or we can say some administered prices. So till now, where we have started, we started with the demand as well as the supply. So demand and supply are the free market forces which governs the equilibrium quantity that should be marketed and equilibrium price that should prevail in the economy. But we have seen in the microeconomic classes like how actually the shift in the demand and supply curve is going to increase the price, right? For your information, I am just keeping it in a simple way. Okay, this was actually our demand curve, this was actually our supply curve, this was actually our price, and this was actually our quantity. What if, as happened few weeks back, like the demand has increased and supply was being the same for the LPG? What happened? The price has increased. The price has increased, right? So this increased price is actually burdening the consumers, whether the government should keep an action or not, right? Similarly, imagine that after maybe right now actually we are starting the paddy production, right? Maybe in the month of June. So after the harvest, actually this was actually our demand, and this was actually our supply, and this was actually our price, right? After the produce, every producer has actually had a bumper harvest, and the supply has increased. Supply has shifted towards right. Supply has increased, but the consumer population remains the same. Demand is being the same. What actually happens to the equilibrium price? The price are getting less. So even at the point of a bumper harvest, the farmer is getting lesser price than that of the normal price. So here the producer community is getting damaged, right? So here the consumer, here in this case the consumer population is getting burdened, here the producer population is getting burdened, right? So therefore it's not fair to simply relax the free market forces to operate in the market. That's why actually we have a government here. So why, what is the role of government here? Government is actually safeguarding the interest of every communities. They are supposed to do that. They are bound to do that. They are supposed to do that. So what they are doing when the demand and supply is fluctuating like this, they have to keep some price support instruments here to conserve the interest of the producer community as well as the consumers community, right? That's how actually we are arriving at different types of administered prices. So what happens in the administered prices? There are different types of administered prices which are meant to keep the market demand and supply in a matched manner. Okay, first one is procurement price. So what is procurement price? Government will be procuring some quantity from the producers. When the government is procuring, how much money actually they are giving to the farmer, that is none other than the procurement price. And when the government is procuring this is after the harvest. So therefore the procurement price will be announced in a notification during the harvest only. Okay, during the harvest or after the harvest only the price will be announced, and this is known as procurement price. Okay, second one is minimum support price. You would be already knowing. You would be already knowing like who is recommending it and who is announcing it, right? So the CACP, Cost Commission for Agricultural Costs and Prices, is actually recommending the minimum support price, and the government of India will be announcing the minimum support price for the scheduled commodities. As of now, it is given for 25 commodities. So when it comes to the minimum support price, this is actually the difference between the procurement price and minimum support price. Both actually the government is purchasing and giving some money, but procurement price is actually announced at the harvesting season. But when it comes to the minimum support price, it is actually happening in the case happening before the sowing season. So therefore before the sowing season, when the farmers are getting assurance, they will be confident to do the cultivation, or else they will be shifting the cultivation to some other crops, right? So that's why where actually the minimum support prices being taken care of. So procurement price, minimum support price, then there is something called ceiling price and floor price. What is ceiling price? There should be a price seal, right? What is ceiling? This is ceiling, the room ceiling, right? Beyond which the price should not go up, because if the price is going up, maybe producer farmer is happy but the consumers are not happy. So there should be a price limit in the upper limit. That is, the upper limit is called price ceiling or ceiling price. The lower limit below which it should not follow, that is known as floor price. So the upper limit is ceiling price, lower limit is floor price. Then there is called as issue price. Whatever the government is actually procured, they will be trying to distribute it through the public distribution system, through the ration shops or public distribution system, right? So at what price actually they are trying to distribute it to the common people, that is none other than the issue price. How much price it is getting issued in the market, that is known as issue price. Then finally comes the levy price. What is levy price? Levy price means, like in the case of bumper harvest and all, some of the traders as well as the big producers, like maybe some progressive farmers and all, they will be bound to sell a particular portion of their produce to the government. It is actually kind of a levy. It's a compulsory contribution. They should sell it. It is not compulsory to some of the small and marginal farmers. So this levy price is actually some compulsory contribution of the produce which has to be sold to the the government and such. For that, how much price is actually government is giving, that is called as levy price. So as somebody asked in the group today, like how much the market, the what we call for it, the magnitude of all these prices. As we already know, the higher will be your ceiling price, right? So the ceiling price will be the highest one, beyond which it should not go, and then lower one should be floor price, below which it should not follow, right? So in between you will be having what we call for it, like maybe minimum support price will be there. Always remember that the procurement price will be higher than that of minimum support price, or it can be equal also. Okay, at times it can be equal, but remember that procurement price is greater than minimum support price. And also remember that below which only it is actually given in the in the ration shops. beyond the floor price, the government is actually distributing the rice and wheat for 2 rupees and 3 rupees, right? So that is actually the lowest one. So therefore, issue price is lesser than floor price, which is lesser than minimum support price, which is lesser than procurement price, which is lesser than the ceiling price. So this is how actually the magnitude will be coming. Then these are some of the institutional setups. Not much concepts are here, so therefore you have to read it thoroughly, but I'll be just going through it, some of the institutional agencies which actually helps in agricultural marketing in India. So before going to the factual information, let me tell you something. Whenever comes to the institution, you should be understanding the proper full form proper full form of each and every agencies here. Okay, proper full form, its year of establishment, its current, maybe if possible its headquarters, where actually its headquarters is this, and if it is an important agency, you should be knowing the current chairman or who is actually heading the institution. So this is how actually you have to study all the institutes, which is actually we are going to see. First one is NAFED, National Agricultural Cooperative Marketing Federation. You will not be seeing the cooperative agricultural marketing here in the short form, right? Also the year of establishment 1952 and 1958. Also remember that this is the apex cooperative marketing agency in the agricultural marketing. This is the apex cooperative marketing agency in the case of agricultural marketing. Then the different functions also, like you should go through the different the chapters, agencies involved in agricultural marketing to understand a basic idea. You should be understanding a basic idea because there can be statement questions. So functions, it coordinates all the cooperative agricultural marketing process in India. Then comes the APEDA, here also agricultural and processed food products export development authority. You will not be finding the processed food products. Food products is not there in the short form, and it is actually formed in the year of 1986, and the head office is in New Delhi. Then functions, it's primarily involved in promoting the export of the agriculture produce to the outside India. Then CACP, cost of agriculture, sorry, Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices. Initially it was Agricultural Price Commission, APC. It was established in 1965, but because of some structural what we call for it, structural deformations or maybe some limitations, it has to be reconstituted again after 20 years, that is in 1985, and Agricultural Price Commission is renamed as Commission for Agricultural Cost and Prices, which with much betterment. And you know that this is the institute which is actually giving a recommendation on minimum support price to the government of India. So if somebody asks you the year of establishment, if you are not seeing the 1985, you should stick with 1965 because APC was the earlier form of CSCP. But as such, CSCP has established in 1985. In 1985. So you should understand the basic idea and remember the chairman of CSCP. Then role of CSCP, you already know, we have discussed the minimum support price. Then there is something called Central Warehousing Corporation and State Warehousing Corporation. So Central Warehousing Corporation, the warehousing corporation head in the central to what we call for it, to coordinate the activities of the different state warehousing corporations. So this was actually formed in the year of 1957. First state warehousing corporation was established in 1956 in the state of Bihar. Okay, so similarly different state corporations, state warehousing corporations was emerging, and they wanted a head to cooperate all the different state warehousing corporations. And then next year in 1957, Central Warehousing Corporation was established. So you should not be confusing with like Central Warehousing Corporation established later, State Warehousing Corporation started earlier. Okay, so 56 State Warehousing Corporation and 57 Central Warehousing Corporation, functions are almost the same. Then Food Corporation of India, which is actually connected with the buffer stock operations to match the demand and supply. When more supply is there, government will be procuring and storing with FCI. When there is less supply in the market, they will be releasing into the public distribution system and matching the demand and supply accordingly to maintain the price stabilization. So buffer stock operation and price stabilization is the major function of FCI, and the head office is in New Delhi, and the year 1965 only the Food Corporation of India was established. Then NCDC, National Cooperative Development Corporation, established in 1963. Then public distribution system in India, which tried to eliminate the poverty and give adequate necessary items such as food grains such as rice and wheat, and the necessary commodities such as sugar, edible oil, soft coke and kerosene oil. Later some better improvements happened in the public distribution system. First one was targeted public distribution system in 1987, where actually the distribution of this necessities should be based on the poverty line, that is above poverty line, below poverty line, based on the recommendations of a committee on poverty, that is Lakdawala committee. And there is another thing called revamped public distribution system, RPDS, and RPDS was in 1992. So therefore PDS system was 66, 65 along with the Food Corporation of India. Then 87 targeted public distribution system, 92 revamped public distribution system. In revamped public distribution system, special attention was given to the northeastern states, maybe hilly regions or tribal communities and all those things who are actually marginalized, but still the fruit of the public distribution system is not actually reaching. They have found out it, and they have again given an additional one, that is none other than the revamped public distribution system in 1992. Then there is something called ENAM, which is actually gaining higher importance these days, Electronic National Agricultural Market. We know that there are different APMCs in different states, right? But these APMCs in different states, maybe thousands of market yards, regulated markets, under-regulated markets, all these things are integrated under a single umbrella of an electronic system, that is none other than ENAM. It is actually helping us for better price realization. It is making almost a perfect market system. Okay, so they are clearing the idea of information asymmetry, and you should always remember that who is actually the implementing agency of ENAM. Implementing agency of ENAM is none other than the one that you have studied in the agricultural finance, that is Small Farmers Agri-Business Consortium, SFAC. SFAC as the implementing agency of ENAM, and the year of establishment was 14th April 2020, 2016. So as of May 1st, the state-wise distribution of ENAM, we have almost 1,522 mandis in 23 states and 4 union territories. Okay. Then the other institutes, MPEDA in 1972, TRIFED in 1987, NDDB in 1965, NIAM in 1988, DMI, Directorate of Marketing and Inspection in 35, BIS in 47, Manage in 87. And if you are going in depth, every institute will be having their own functions, their own key roles, and their own achievements. Since the time is less, you should prioritize what to study properly. Okay, do not waste too much time. The base idea that I have already mentioned before starting this section, you should always remember. Then the international institutes such as International Standard Organization, which was established in 47, headquarters Geneva. Then CAC, Codex Alimentarius Commission, which was a joint venture of Food and Agricultural Organization and World Health Organization, which was established in 1963. And there are some certification marks which actually gives you some quality specifications such as ACMARC in 1937 and the Food Product Order in 1955, ECOMARC in 1991. Then we have some cooperative agricultural marketing or some direct farmers markets or direct marketing systems in different states. So this you can see in the Subhash Chandra's textbook in agricultural marketing, which is actually not present in Subbareddy's textbook. So here you should maybe mostly the question will be match the following with respect to the state where actually it is practiced, not with the years. So don't worry about the year here. Remember the institutes and connect with the states. Apni Mandi or Kisan Mandi in Punjab and Haryana, Raitu Bazar in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, Udavar Sandai in Tamil Nadu, Krishak Bazars in Orissa, Odisha, Hadaspur Vegetable Market in Pune, Maharashtra, Maha Grapes in Maharashtra, BGG Coms, Bangalore Grape Growers Cooperative Marketing Society in Bangalore, Karnataka. All these things, all these institutes, these are examples of farmers market or direct marketing system. They are actually farmers are directly coming to the market, consumers are directly coming to the market, farmer is selling the produce directly to the consumers. So you should always remember the location or the states wherein actually these different forms of different agricultural marketing systems are getting practiced. So that's it. Like these are the basic ideas of agricultural marketing. I think we have covered almost all the basic concepts, and I hope this marathon would help you to understand a comprehensive coverage of agricultural marketing. And soon after this session, if you have attended it properly, just go through the MCQs of Nirmal Ravi Kumar, which will be giving you better understanding, which will be giving you where actually you have to prioritize more and where actually you are strong. Wherever you are getting confused, selectively take that portions from the textbook rather than simply starting again from the basic, because like we have almost completed all the basic concepts which is given in the textbook. I am damn sure that this is actually giving you a better understanding rather than spending hours reading different chapters. Okay, so directly start doing the questions and complete the portions. I hope it's clear. Any doubts, or we can complete? I hope it's okay. The one who's actually seeing the lives, can you please respond? Does it help? Okay, thank you for the responses, and thank you for your cooperation during the live, and we will be seeing in the next marathon. Thank you. Happy learning.